league. This is the first time 20XX is running like this. Last year, I believe it was straight double elim. And now these teams are competing in these qualifying events to join a very prestigious top level league. And they have to place in that top three to make that cut today, Saf.
Okay, so getting in, you have to get into top three. There's a lot of really challenging folks in the bracket today that are going to try to be duking it out. One of the teams I'm thinking of being Eepy Dreepy that we're going to be seeing probably maybe later down the line in the bracket. So there are a lot of strong competitors coming out and opening up on tower control on Hagglefish to start our day. These folks are in the lobby and getting raring and ready to go. And I want to also shout out our host. Jorian is here also on the production desk with us, showing you all these beautiful graphics and transitions for you. So, yeah, welcome to the Staff, Toma, and Jorian show today here for 20XX. We appreciate you all being able to tune in. And Toma, so exciting too. You were just telling me that the Houston LAN is also coming up, and we have Riptide coming down the corridor as well. So it's just so exciting. And Toma, I just miss you so much.
Yeah,
I'm just vomiting my words, but I just miss you so much. Like, it's just nice to see your face and knowing that I'm gonna see your face again very soon.
I know. Well, we haven't seen each other much on Splatoon Tourney in the recent
Oh,
times.
God, I
Life's
know.
been so crazy, and I mean, you just had Sea Battle too. Speaking of like the lands, I mean, it's a great time for local Splatoon.
Yeah, local Splatoon is really having a fun time this year. And I got to also fly down and be a part of Sunset Surge as well, put on by Pepe, which was wonderful. If you're listening, hello, Rice. Hello, Pepe. It's nice to see you. And I hope that Sunset Surge was everything that you could have ever hoped and imagined that it would be. But not talking about lands right now. We're at 20XX. We're in a league qualifier. This is for all the marbles. A lot of marbles to be had and put into the pouches of the folks that are going to move forward and win it. And Toma, another thing I want to point out that I really like about this bracket too, if you want to be following along, this is on sendo.inc. And if you look up 20XX League first qualifier, you can go ahead and find the bracket there. Or if somebody can post it in chat for those of you following along at home, you can also see what's going down. And already the opening of game is going to be underway here. Blank Z versus Sanagi on tower control, Hagglefish Market. Let's get into it. We're going shopping today, Toma. EBT and shopping bags in hand. I see a stamper already. And just to say for the folks at home, both of these teams did opt in for screen usage. Not seeing screen used, however, you still see the vanilla 52, so there may be potential for some screen usage to come out, Toma.
Yeah, there definitely could be. I think that that's a great weapon, especially if you're, I say you're going to be dealing with the pencil, but you're not actually the Zap on the other team. Double moving up here on this right-hand side as Blinksy has early control of this tower, looking here at this checkpoint one, trying to take some pressure here, but look at this. They're able to get two down, Saf, and that's going to be a pretty good first checkpoint break here, probably, unless this gal can get in, and it looks like they aren't going to be able to do so in time.
Yeah, just a wall of purple ink surrounding the tower as they sail their way onto checkpoint number 2. Now, still having 3 members down, even with a bubble up for protection. Finally, Sanagi is going to put the hammer down and put a stop to that push at the 41 mark. So a great opening from Blank Z for sure. But as the members are starting to jump back in and respawn back in, you can see Teddy already pushed up pretty far, trying to go in for the shark, maybe try to entice some of the members of Blank Z over to them, away from the objective. Just a scrappy fight happening down in the pit area here before the mid section. Pencil feeling pretty comfortable, but not close enough to really get something cracking there, as Yushi is going to be taking up a side from behind, actually. The Pencil trying to kind of getting overextended there, and Yushi feeling confident to maybe push them out a little bit. Killer Whale going to come out and cause some displacement. Once again, that tower just touching the 41 mark, and a huge pick for that, for the Stamper to be going down right there, as checkpoint 2 is now being contested.
In the Nautilus, they're able to break that checkpoint to a very important break. That's a hard checkpoint to get through, and the splashdown going to clear some additional space in front of that tower. Now they're all the way at checkpoint 3, but they are 3 down, and it looks like their push may end here, as that 52 is going to be forced to drop off onto that left-hand drop. Trying to fight it out to stay alive, but not going to be able to do so. 18, though, is an incredible push on the side of Blixie.
Yeah, and it surely is. And I mean, Tsunagi's not going to try to make it easy for them to keep and maintain that 18. As you can see, Bo going to be pushed up here. Bo Booley going to be pushed up here with the Zipcaster and the Stamper, causing a little bit of havoc. But not quite enough for Yushi to come back in and finish the job, getting a nice triple splat there, sailing into a lot of yellow territory now as we're going into the first checkpoint once again. I mean, Blank Z consistently just has the formula for success here, Toma.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they started riding that again, but Tsunagi maybe finding a little bit more of their footing here, able to knock them off that tower pretty early there. Now with 3 down, gonna try to get a push going on their own. They have a lot of this space cleared, looking forward to trying to get this first checkpoint to get that push rolling, but a bomb, it looks like picking off one from Yushi there to try to slow this down a little bit. 2 down. They're going to be trying to get this here, Sap. They have to be careful, especially looking at all those bombs coming in. And we're just looking at the sky there for a second, I suppose.
Maybe just a quick thought we had as the splatter shot unfortunately goes down, but the tower still going to be sailing through that second check, or the first checkpoint, going in for the second, and only the Stamper left alive. The wipeout going to be occurring there as the Stamper had 0 time to try and jump out from the onslaught of forces coming from Blank Z, as Blank Z once again getting set up into the pit area here. And one thing I want to note, Toma, it seems like Tsunagi has the tools to get themselves set up for a push, but immediately Blank Z is able to barrel through the offensive pressure and just come back in strong every single time, because again, look at that, the cooler being on tower, the bubble being popped by Yushi once again, and it's going to be moving past the second checkpoint here, and especially if you can break up through that canopy area, that's going to be huge from Goldie, or Golda, down on the bottom there. And again, the tower going to be sailing up into that last checkpoint area, the last stand for Tsunagi to try to stop and prevent something from happening.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to do so here, and it looks like 3 down. They're going to be able to clear this out. They have just got that Nautilus up there. They have to get it out, and I mean, this Nautilus player has constantly been the last player up and been causing problems for Tsunagi on Blinksey's pushes. Finally out of there, but Sap, that just keeps burning more time off that clock.
Yeah, because again, you can see they have the man advantage here. The cooler is going to come out. Folks are starting to push back up and get through, but unfortunate cooler placement as the cooler actually gets taken out by the tower. Still plenty of paint left though, but still 2 members, 2 apiece on Tsunagi getting taken down, so you just have the pencil player. But look at this, you have folks trying to jump in and contest this tower movement. The Zipcaster not going to find any value, and once again, Tsunagi down in the wipeout. Blank Z taking us into the win for game 1.
Yeah, huge, huge victory for them there. And Saf, just their speed was absolutely insane. You saw that they wasted no opportunities. As soon as they had the space to move forward, they were pushing it. They had the right specials at the right time. The bubbles on the tower, too, were just absolutely clutch. And even if the junior went down, you would see instantly that somebody would hop back on that tower to keep it going.
Yeah, but the bubble pop too, consistently popping it in the corner piece by the second checkpoint was going to be the tools for success for Blank Z, because consistently you could see Pyro jumping up. I think their name is Pyro, jumping up onto that canopy area, like you said. The Nautilus is just consistently in taking that position, which it just seemed like Tsunagi couldn't really contest that position take coming out from Blank Z. And when you have Yushi casting that bubble every single time going around that corner, I mean, there's so many points in between that second checkpoint and the third checkpoint going into the final that, like, if you keep just popping your bubble there and keep raising defense in that position, I mean, it's why Blank Z got down to the 18 mark.
It absolutely is. It was a just really beautiful team coordination there, and I mean that's exactly what you have to expect about or from a team that's trying to win it here today. And they're certainly showing that they're in it to win it. But Tsunagi not down and out for the count quite yet. They've got Clamblitz on Scorch Gorge ahead of them. And Saf, what are some keys to victory here?
Score gore. Okay, well, keys to victory in clams. So, sharking tactics gonna be really great here. A lot of ledges to camp under, a lot of ledges to be watching, and especially where the basket areas are, it's a bit of a bottleneck. So, having the long range, but also having the sharking capability is gonna be huge here. You have to really focus your aggression by being hidden. It's like getting excited to be hidden, but also seeing and like watching the map and the flow of battle play out. But then taking the opportunity to strike is going to be major here. And I believe that the sharking that was coming out from Teddy on Sanagi could be very, very useful here. I don't think they were able to find as much value as they were hoping for in that last game because Blank Z just kind of had it on lock. Consistently, you would see a lot of purple on the field. They have the painting power and the tools for that. So if Sanagi can really focus on their patient tactics and when to strike, I think that the sharking that Teddy was pulling out could be very useful here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the range advantage they have as well with that pencil on their side could come into huge handy here. This is one of those maps, especially once you're set up for that push. If you can get a long range weapon up onto that snipe and just look into the area above that basket, you kind of force them that the only way that they have to retake is by dropping, and dropping is pretty punishable in this game. We both know that very well. And using that range to their advantage, I think, is going to be a huge key for them that can definitely set them apart on this map.
And I think you have to be confident in moving forward and taking the fights. And I think, especially because there's similar weaponry being used on either side, if you can just really play to your strengths with the weapon that you're using, I think that you can really be advantageous in your fights. So I hope that Sanagi is able to put more of a strategic battle plan together and feel confident to push up and to try and maybe take a little bit more space than last time, because consistently Blank Z was not shy in taking space. And I want to shout out Yushi in particular, getting a nice triple splat on the stream just seconds earlier, but also consistently Yushi was pushing up and popping bubble at the right places and at the right time, throwing a ton of bombs off the ledges, just a lot of defensive pressure, but also it assisting in the forward momentum that Blank Z was having throughout that entire tower game. So if they were to bring that bubble back, that also is going to be really huge, especially because bubble has kind of received some upgrades since the recent update. And bubble takes a lot of space under that basket area as well. So very advantageous weaponry and special usage here. And considering how Yushi was using that bubble last time, I see no reason why to take it out. Because as we say, dude, if it ain't broke, like, don't fix it.
Definitely not. And like you said, I mean, the scoring potential there is huge. And it's a lot of paint on the map, too, if they don't take it away from their comp. And it does look like they're going to be keeping that junior in too. Yeah, exactly the same. And I think here what we said, I mean, look at this. Look, you got that zip caster, I think, can be another key to victory on the side of Sanagi if they can get up into the base of Blink Z and just try to keep those pushes sustained. But as we both know right now, it's going to be a little bit of team deathmatch and collecting clams at the beginning of this until either team can really get that solid advantage to begin their first push.
And yeah, and I think the Zipcaster pick, I don't think was as advantageous in the last game, just because it seems like Blank Z is very keen on not getting too bogged down by the details. And what I mean by that is they're not too bogged down by the Zipcaster flying around. They didn't really let that affect their game plan and what they were trying to do. It didn't really take too much distraction away from objective. But you can see as Sanagi is trying to be a little bit more aggressive, Advil kind of found themselves between a rock and a hard place, getting pinched between two members of Blank Z. You can see Bo Booley is trying to push up a little bit more with the Stamper here. They do have that Zipcaster online to be used, ready for follow-up as well. And economy is looking pretty good for Sanagi here, and as well as map advantage, especially with that Trizuka coming out and the pencil being placed on top there. You can see Pico had to jump out of danger. The bubble is going to be popped for defensive maneuvering, and you can see as the members of Sanagi try to collapse in, again, that bubble as a focal point for Blank Z, the momentum immediately stopped.
Yes, it is stopping, and you see how fast Blank Z taking that space. Double up there, unfortunately picked off, so that's going to slow them down just a little bit. And then Piro going down there too means that they may not be able to score this time. A good defense from the side of Sanagi here. They're going to be moving up, seeing how they can retake back into mid. Stamper going to be dropping, trying to take this upper area to look down and start poking. And look at this, it's kind of flipping on its head, Saf. If they can turn around, if they can find this pick on Devil, we may see a score from Sanagi here instead. And we are.
Yeah, the first basket break going to be had by Sanagi here, and Bobuli in a great place, like we said, on those ledges, but not when you have Devil coming in from the flank and creating so much space for Golda and Yushi to push forward. That's 3 members down on Sanagi. Jiki being the last one left alive, going to back up, having a power clam in possession, though. And again, Yushi utilizing that bubble. Look at that tiny bubble, Toma. They just barely strafed to the right to escape danger and also were successful in the kill as well. Blank Z having now 3 members down. Yushi going to have to retreat as fast as they can. They're running away from 3 different members there. That had to be really scary. And there with the Trizuka coming out, the pressure is on for Sanagi to pop again.
Yeah, Sanagi here is in a great position, running up, gonna get that basket break. So they have clams in the basket, but are they going to be able to add to it? That bubble is gonna make it pretty difficult to move through. Devil gonna be picking off one member of Sanagi there in that bubble, stopping them from being able to add to that score there. But this is a different Sanagi here. We definitely see them utilizing their tools a lot better here on this map, but they do have to be careful as Blank Z is looking up there, trying to make that push 2 down, though they may be forced to back up just a little bit. And this is the kind of pressure that Sanagi needs to keep.
Yeah, and especially, see, look at this. Like I said, keeping the Sharking Tactics present there, the Trizuka and Teddy going to be pinching one member of Blank Z in the corner. That takes the zap out of the game. So a delay on the cooler as well for Blank Z. Sanagi and Bobuli actually having a way better time this round, I think, consistently seeing good picks like that coming out from Babuli here, so the Stampers finding a ton of value for Sanagi in this round. Still no pop to be had by Blank Z, though, so it seems like Sanagi really has a good handle on how they want to be defensive in protecting this basket here. Look at that, though, a sneak in from Yushi for the bubble, but not enough because the Zipcaster is going to break through and take 2 different members down and prevent that Power Clan from making contact with the basket at all. Huge play from Sanagi and Babuli.
What a beautiful defense there. And I'm saying, like, look at this, the clam economy so beautifully on their side. They're gonna be able to open that basket once again. That Stamper has 7 clams to be able to add to the basket, looking to jump in here on the left-hand side, going in on that basket, but gonna be forced back, dropping that power clam there. They're able to just pick up a little bit extra onto their score. Now, Saf, with 30 seconds remaining, the pressure is on Blank Z to be able to get this basket open. They have 2 down onto Sanagi, but then quickly go 2 down themselves. Sanagi really just needs to keep trying to burn time off this. If they can get these trades, as long as they're not going into disadvantage, that's what they really need to keep doing right now.
You really have the battle of the barriers between Teddy and I wanted to see who. Yeah, between Teddy and Devil, our 252 gal users here. You really do have a battle of the barriers. Consistently, you're seeing a wall thrown out, a piece from each side, and just trying to contest it. But finally, Blank Z finding the opening they're looking for to get 1 power clan, make it 2. They have some to follow up. We're in overtime. They get 1 more in. I think they need 2 more to just flip the tide here with Devil trying to jump in. The wipeout occurring there for Blank Z. A lead switch, and Blank Z moving forward in the bracket. What an insane ending to be had there for Blank Z.
That was wow. Wow. I mean, Saf, this is kind of just one of those moments where if you just falter for even a second, that these teams can absolutely come in here and punish it hard. Like, insane. And they took advantage of every little break in the defense there. And look at this, like right here, you see this coming together on earlier in that game, just on the replay. I think that, no, jump to a different moment here, but look at this, just beautiful plays time and time again. This is that clutch defense right there.
Yes.
Huge from Sanagi there, and we saw a different side of them. Obviously, this is it for them in this set here as a best of 3, but I think that they showed us that, you know, they could have a pretty good losers run here today.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I'm really impressed with how much Bobuli changed their game style and play style from the Tower Hagglefish game, because consistently I was seeing Bobuli fly around and cause a lot of havoc. I mean, pretty much in the ending moments there too, Bobuli got a really nice double splat. And you could also see there was so much more to be had too from the pencil from Sanagi as well. They consistently were utilizing their maximizing their range. That's what I was trying to go for. I'm tripping on my words here. The pencil was consistently maximizing their range and taking the higher advantage points. But also, I just think in those ending moments too, it was kind of a scrappy fight to try and prevent Blank Z from getting any forward momentum with how many points that they were getting. I mean, really, I think the nail in the coffin was the fact that they had a follow-up clam to their breaking clam. So they broke the barrier and then immediately had a follow-up clam like right away, and that got them just within reach of taking the lead, and they just had to make a little bit more of an opening to try to get through and get
Yeah.
those last clams in. So it's one of those things that like sometimes things come together right at the end, and Blank Z, even though there was just a break in offensive pressure there, they still were like, okay, like we got to keep it going. We're in overtime. We have a few seconds left. Like we just need to go as fast as we can. Like, rah! Like we need to get in there and get as many clams as we can in there, and that's what they did. And I feel like Sanagi, their offensive pressure, their offensive and defensive pressure completely faltered and fell apart in that moment. Because you could see one by one they went down and the wipeout screen came across the board. So it's tough because Blank Z, I mean, Sanagi could keep up with Blank Z, no problem, but I think it's just one of those things, like, it comes down to punishing somebody that messes up. It comes down to punishing that mistake that could have been corrected or could have been readjusted or realigned kind of thing. So congratulations to Blank Z moving forward in the bracket. And like you said, I don't think we'll see this isn't the last that we'll see of Sanagi. Sanagi, I think, will have a good time down in the losers run.
They will, and I mean, they had good offensive pressure. I think, like you said, I think the difference here with these two teams is that Tsunagi there, they had a lot of offensive pressure, but it wasn't sustained offensive pressure. So they were able to get in there, they were able to get a lot more basket breaks than Blank Z was. But once they were in there, they weren't really able to add too much to their score each time. Where Blank Z, like we saw it in the first game, where they just once they're in there, once they're in your base, it is hard to get rid of them. And I think that's kind of what just happened there is once they got forward and once they actually finally got that foothold that they so desperately needed, they didn't give it up. And that's why they were able to come in and add so much to that score to be able to pass it.
I agree with you there. So looking in at the bracket there that Jorian was showing us, so Blank Z is going to be moving on, and Blank Z is moving on to battle Celeste. And Celeste is seated pretty high in this competition, so that's really exciting. Blank Z is going to try to give them a run for their money for sure. Looking down the bracket, you have Loxier and Blah Emoji. Blah Emoji is going to be the one to move forward, going against HDMI Cable. And HDMI Cable, Toma, taking a 2-0 win over Memento Mori. Which that's a pretty significant one there. And going still further down the bracket, you have Moonlight versus CJ Point. You have TH Salmon versus Captain Happy Crew. And Captain Happy Crew, consistently a team that we get to see a lot throughout the Splatlands, Splatlands and Splat competition. And of course, they're going to be here and putting their stake in the ground for 20XX. But looking down at the loser side of the bracket too, you got a lot of friends down there as well. You have Eepy Dreepy going down there waiting for their projected match, and you also have Myopsidus down there too. And Myopsidus has been around for a really long time, so it's still nice to see them show face here in this 20XX bracket.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, big names that are still even down here in losers. And that's just showing the kind of powerhouses that are showing up today. I mean, look at Naywall down in losers. They lost it looks like 0-2 to Chaos Control, who's been a big name recently, I feel, across the scene that's kind of just been tearing it up. And sending Naywall down there is huge. Loxier down there. You mentioned losing to the emoji is my cat is walking across my PC.
I can hear them. Oh my god, cat walking ASMR.
I am gotta cover the power button before she turns my computer off because she's very guilty of doing that.
Oh my gosh, full send. It's like when you're saving your game on like the old consoles, the old Nintendo consoles, and it's like, hey, saving, don't touch the power button, don't press the power button. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. You're telling me not to? It means I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna press the power button. You can't stop me.
I can't be told what to do. Like, who did he?
Yeah.
What's this silly game think?
Who do you think you are?
Exactly. We're stopping Toma. No one can tell us what to do.
Yeah. What do you mean? Don't press the power button. I'm gonna press the power button. I'm gonna turn it off. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
You can't not do it.
That's how she is, my precious girl. I mean, you've seen her. I pull her on Splatoon tourney all the time. I would pull her right now, but she's walking away, and I don't want to go chase after her.
Oh man. Well, tell her to come back sometime and that we want to see her and that we love her.
Diona? No, she's looking at me like I'm crazy. She left. She darted out the room. She's
Yeah,
like,
she's
no. I know
no
what you're planning to do. You're picking me up,
20XX
me up
League
for the next
Qualifier 1.
camera.
This ain't it, fam.
No.
This
It's
ain't
okay.
it, fam.
Maybe she's going to the other room. She's gonna watch it on like the TV in there. She just wants to support us. She doesn't want to be on stream. She's
Hmm.
shy.
Yeah,
That's
she
what's
wants
going
to
on.
see the big screen. I think seeing both of us on a bigger TV will really say and give her a lot of context
I
for
mean,
what's
who
going
wouldn't
on.
want to see us on a bigger TV, Saf? We're kind of cool like that.
It's true. It's true. It's fun seeing my face on a bigger screen, but also I cringe every time I have to hear my voice back for talking about anything. But also, like, do you ever just like start talking and say things and you're like, wow, that was dumb? But it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I do.
it's like something so mundane and normal to say to somebody or just out into the universe.
It's either that or I'll just say something completely incorrect. However the hell I said scorch gorge last time. That was not
Gorgor. I forgot.
gore. I and I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, they keep letting me back on mic. What a
And
mistake.
they keep and they keep inviting me back. That's what's so funny is like I can mess up and just have the worst block ever. I'll leave a block and be like, "This was awful," but then people are still like, "Hey,
This is so cool. I'm like, oh my god. Thumbs up. Thanks.
like come on back anytime. We appreciate you." So that
Truly the gift of a commentator when she like start to realize, like everybody else, they're like, oh my god, this is so cool, and you're just seeing your mistakes. You're like, oh no.
yeah, just don't. I do not wish to be perceived at this moment in time, even though I'm here in front of all of your faces and beautiful usernames, screen names, and also just waiting for the bracket to get started here. We have a couple teams that are coming up next for our next match, but we're kind of waiting for some things to get situated down on the bracket. So maybe we'll take a brief break. If you need to have a brief break, use this time, folks. Use this time to get yourself some water, maybe grab a snack. If you haven't eaten breakfast or lunch yet, this would be the perfect time to bring it back and watch some awesome competitive Splatoon here on the IPL channel or on the Dapple Productions channel. Remember, there's 2 different streams happening right now, and there's also folks casting matches that are actually in the game. So there's tons of POVs to watch that going forward in this qualifier, and we appreciate that some of you are here to watch our POV and go through it with us. But yeah, let's take a brief break. Go and use the bathroom, grab snacks, do what you gotta do. You are watching 20XX League Qualifier 1 on IPL Splatoon. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 20XX on IPL. I'm here with Saf and with a little criminal here who was tearing
Me
some
too.
stuff off during the stream or the break in the stream. She decided to go destroy a little storage bin, so she got
Cat
picked up.
cam.
Cat Cam. She's
This
now
is actually
in
a
being
phone
held
call between
jail.
Kilala and Diana. This is actually their
Yeah,
this is their meeting time actually. Toma and I are just here. This is actually for them.
Diona, are you here with your best friend? She's like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
She's like, she does not want to be here. But
Okay.
you know what, Diona? You know what, Diona? We're gonna be watching some pretty crazy competitive Splatoon. We're here with stacks of cash. Okay, so you see, this is a whole formula, right? I'm gonna call you gravity because this is Sir Isaac Newton's
Oh,
universal law of gravitation.
I wrote it wrong. I wrote down the equation, Toma, because I was gonna say we're gonna solve the universal law of gravity. I have it here on my notebook. I didn't sign up to do a math problem today on 20XX, and I'm sure that none of you did either. But that's what's happening here. We're going to be solving the laws of gravity against stacks and stacks and stacks of cash. Both teams, quite honestly, being stacked on stacked on stacked. Because if you can look at the rosters here, you have Bounce on one side, but you also have Helix and you have Marauder being Len, drawing dude Len on Twitter. So you have Len and friends, but you also have Bounce on the opposite end with X Battle and Game is Game. So to put it simply, there's a lot of strong people in this lobby, Toma, and opening it up with flat zones on Makamar is going to be so fun for both of these sides to make opening statements.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, on Robo. We're on Robo Ramen. I'm sorry.
Robo Ramen. You know, we all get it. Right now, opening up, it looks like that zone is just trying to stay in the control of gravity here, and they've got that. I love the heavy edit for the cooler choice. It is such a fun weapon.
Yeah, I agree. And with Bounce being able to push forward here already, that timer is ticking away. 60 unit points left on the board for gravity, the laws of gravity to be taking down. And it looks like stacks of cash is being pulled back to earth here as Trizuka is coming out from both sides, not finding any value, unfortunately. You can see the communication, though, for laws of gravity is happening with the This Way coming out. Swag trying to push X Battle out of the way here, and still a lot of paint going down on the ground. 2 members down on gravity, and I think that Stacks of Cash is finally going to be on the up and up with income here, as they're going to be breaking into the spawning point of Laws of Gravity.
Yes, they are, and they're gonna get this timer counting down. A nice pick there as they continue to just get this through. They have good control of this zone. They have the man advantage right now, and they just need to watch out for anybody coming in around on these links, especially as they are so risky just climbing up that wall. You saw that jump out knowing that it was unsafe. They're trying to keep control with that splashdown, trying to get some more fights out here. 2 down on the side of gravity there. It's just looking at all this paint fly. They are able to kick it, and look at this, Saf. We may be threatening a lead swap here now.
Yeah, not only a few unit points left to really get something going here. Stacks of Cash having that great player 5 placement of the sprinkler on the ceiling, but to no avail. It seems the laws of gravity is going to change the lead and force a penalty onto Stacks of Cash. A couple zone swaps here and there. Trizuka finding insane value from Stacks of Cash there, and going back into possession of the zone, trying to get rid of that penalty there. But with the pencil coming out and just causing all of that poke, I think Laws of Gravity have to be really mindful of their damage counter here. But still, 3 members of Stacks of Cash going down. I mean, the economy is low right now for Stacks of Cash.
Yes, it definitely is, and what a good save there too. They stopping that lead from changing that pick onto the bubble. I think was huge. And now the bubble. Why did I say the bubble onto Lin? I'm thinking about the junior from last match. This is crazy. Going out here right now, Lin is still trying to get into position to try to get some space, but Bounce here holding it down on the side. Jackson Cash is just struggling to find some entry, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to break back into this zone
Oh
here in
man.
staff. Wow, what a great play there. I thought for, a while there that they were going to be in a lot of danger, but they kind of just clutched up exactly when they needed to.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Helix there because you could see them trying to spread out those pencil shots on the zone, and they had a lot of coverage there going into the last bit, but probably just a few unit points, splat paint point, whatever they're called, paint points, whatever you want to call it. There was probably just a few more droplets that could have been maintained onto the zone to force some sort of possession flip or just take it out of possession altogether. But I mean, the laws of gravity had a very strong pull, if you will, for this round against Stacks of Cash, and Stacks of Cash just had a lot of trouble really trying to maintain their paint output and maybe trying to take fights as well, because again, it seems like laws of gravity were again utilizing the maximum range, like we talked about from the teams in the last match. Maximum range being utilized, especially from Bounce on that 96 Scout Deco. The Kraken itself wasn't finding too much value. Definitely some displacement to be had, but this is what I mean. Bounce taking on this bottom position, and Helix had to be forced back and couldn't get much paint out, and with the bubble coming out as well, there was nothing there for them to really cover. So unfortunately, Helix wasn't able to get as much paint output as they were looking for there, so the laws of gravity are going to be actually holding true. The theory is holding true so far here, Toma, as we move into game number 2.
Yeah, it certainly is, and just what a beautiful display they had there, being able to keep that space, and will they be able to do it again? And this is a best of 5 here, Saf, so not quite so much on the line as last time. They still do have a little bit of time to figure out each other's play styles, figure out what's going on. As we both know, in these kind of sets, you're kind of using this first 2 games in a best of 5 to figure out really how the opponents are playing, but these are all really well-known players, so they should be able to adapt pretty fast, and they're going to be trying to get out that win on Tower Control Mako Mart.
Yeah, and I want to point out too, I believe that Len and Helix are folks that play together pretty frequently on Osmosis. Kind of a newer, I don't want to say that they're like official, maybe they're more of like a pickup squad. So the folks on Osmosis are kind of coming together to form Stacks of Cash, but also other friends from outside of that, because you have Swag and Nilla. And Swag is someone that has been playing just kind of in competitive for a while, but they've also been playing the Nautilus for a really long time, and have a really high X power score. But I'm not really, like, it's kind of fun that we have access to the Sendo profiles, because we get to kind of talk about maybe the history of what these people have done. And like, for example, like Nilla is on the team Essence. So you have folks from Osmosis, you have folks from Essence coming into the fray, but on the opposite side for Laws of Gravity, you have folks like Laby, and Laby being a very, very strong Gal player and also doing the most in a lot of different competitions across the board. A lot of gold medals to be had around Laby's neck there. But you also have Bounce, and you have Asan, and you also have Benji Fishy also coming in to help out as well. So a lot of results to be had. I mean, if you check out any of these folks' profile when you're following through the bracket, you'll see a lot of different medals and prizes and things under each profile. So no strangers to the grind whatsoever. No strangers to the Sendo badge grind either. Very familiar with that on both sides. So definitely a lot on the line. Really, a lot on the line for both of these folks, because they've been here before, they've done it before, they know the stakes, they know the risks. And it's like you said, that first game was a lot of information gathering on how the rest of the set is going to play out.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize you have made such a good point about players from Osmosis too. And I mean, when we're talking about the quality of players that are in this tournament, Osmosis right now is in Div X playoffs. Like, these are some of the best players that you can currently find right now on the Western scene, and they are just here to try to win. And I mean, we saw what a crazy game, what kind of high level gameplay these teams bring to the table.
And I'm hoping, Toma, that Helix can find more value with their pencil play, because I just really felt it in my bones on those last few unit points on the zone, because They had a really good spread to try to take it out of possession, and there was probably just a couple droplets that were missing. So it's a really close fight to the bitter end. And with the comps coming out now, we see the bucket coming out. That is going to be the option for the cooler weapon for the force of gravity here. So how are they going to readjust? I'm really curious about that. But, you know, I think with having someone like Laby on their side, who is just so well versed on this 52 gal and has been playing this weapon for so long, it's like people playing to their strengths. And the same could be said for the side of Stacks of Cash, because again, you have Len on that blaster, which is a craft that they have been practicing for quite a long time.
Yes, it has been, and right now, 2 down though on Stacks of Cash. We're going to see these laws of gravity start moving forward. Helix does find some pressure there, looking at that tower, trying to stop it from advancing to checkpoint 1, but look, two walls out there to try to foil any pressure coming out to the tower, and they're just throwing bombs, throwing whatever they can at it, but that first checkpoint is going to fall all the same, and we're just seeing the laws of gravity just absolutely push through here, cause lots of pressure going in. Just these strikes left out to try to stall them, but that doesn't even look like it's going to stall them for long, as Bounce is now pushing Lin there, forcing a jump out.
Yeah, that was a huge force of jump by Bounce there. Len was in a great position to contest the tower and potentially take a couple picks with them, as they would probably be taken out of the game themselves. But finally, with the tower moving forward and back into the middle zone, the push for the forces of gravity is going to stop at the 40 mark, right? Just barely touching on the cusp of that second checkpoint there. And still the different fights being had in mid. You have Len taking full possession of this left-hand stack there, launching the bubble to try to get some forward momentum. And finally, Stacks of Cash is going to be putting the money on the board down to the 88. But with Game is Game jumping in and out of there, they were able to get 2 awesome picks and also force themselves to jump into safety as well. So again, I mean, Stacks of Cash, it feels like they get really good an initial play. They get one really good initial play, but then they just lost 2 to 3 members in the process of that, and Forces of Gravity is back on the forward push.
Yeah, they are. And look at this, though. Stacks of Cash had that 3 down now, trying to get that push of their own going. Helix setting up on this tower to try to keep some forward pressure in. They've got so much range to work with. The bubble coming out to there from Lin to try to prevent this, but they've got to look out. Bounce coming around the side, X Battle as well. It is spelling disaster for Stacks of Cash. Forced to jump out there, and now you can see how fast they're turning this map blue.
Yeah, and it just seems like when one member of Stacks of Cash gets taken out, it's like the other 3 need to readjust promptly and quickly, but they can't do it quick enough before Forces of Gravity is upon them, before they're bringing them back down to Earth, because Gravity is moving a lot faster than the money here, Toma. As you can see, Swag is going to try to jump back down. They are going to take the tower back into possession. X Battle trying to escape, but not before Swag can take them out of the game single-handedly. That's going to be a 2-member down situation for the Forces of Gravity. So the stocks are up now for Stacks of Cash, finally making their way to the first checkpoint. The Tri-Strike's coming out for displacement here. X Battle going to try and come in for a very subtle sharking tactic, with Bounce pushing forward and taking a lot of the attention onto them in the Kraken form. And still the opening now for Force of Gravity to come through and bring themselves back to Earth, putting their feet back on the ground, stopping the push at the 56 mark. Too close for comfort for Forces of Gravity here.
Yes, it is. Now Lin trying to move in there and find some picks, trying to just create some space for Stacks of Cash. We got those strikes coming out, but it looks like it might be just a tad early, especially now since they aren't even like going to be adding to their lead till just now with that special already burned. The bubble could be huge though. Look at this pop, but 2 go down immediately, and the bubble doesn't even matter. Now Forces of Gravity keep just bringing this pressure to the table. Less than a minute left on the clock now, Saf, and they're trying to reset this back into a neutral situation.
Yeah, having Game get set up on that top ledge and just lobbing bucket shots down on the tower. I mean, what else was Stacks of Cash to do? They had to refortify their assets and move some money around, because they couldn't really find any contact with the tower when you have that type of pressure coming in from the bucket. So Force of Gravity taking tower in possession once again, going to take advantage here. As you can see, Stacks of Cash is trying to spread their resources out on that top ledge, getting some paint in, but still, the Force of Gravity here, the amount of painting power that they have is just insane, because when you look out on the horizon there from Len's point of view, it's just a sea of blue.
Yes, it is just a sea of blue at the moment, but as you see, look at this. 4 seconds left on that, and they're even able to just turn it even more. You saw one member of Stacks of Cash go down, and Forces of Gravity just converge on the rest ruthlessly, just showing the absolute kind of dominance that they play with. Taking the set now to 2-0, match point for them, Saf. They are really feeling hungry to close this one out.
I think they've found the keys to success here and how they need to fortify their own defenses to break through Stacks of Cash's economy, because like I was saying before, it seems like when you take out one of them, the other three kind of falter and have to recorrect, but they take their time to recorrect. But the Force of Gravity is so strong that you don't have enough time to do it. Your feet are both firmly planted where you're at before Force of Gravity just comes through and steamrolls the competition. So now, being 2 up, they are in a really good position here moving into the third game. They want to just try to end it with a 3-0, and that's going to feel really good too moving forward in the bracket with the amount of momentum that Force of Gravity has. So Stacks of Cash, how do they want to reallocate their resources? How do they want to maybe move themselves around and look in for a change here as we go back to Scorch Gorge, I believe, for Clams?
Yeah, we are going back to Scorch Gorge for Clams, a map that I think we're probably going to be pretty familiar with throughout the length of this qualifier. And I mean, it's already just it's a staple map, right, to begin with. But Saf, the way that these teams play on this map, I'm excited to see what they're going to be bringing out to the table here.
I honestly, Len with the bubble and the blaster is going to be really huge here, just because we got to see Yushi last time use the bubble to their full advantage. So I think bubble and blaster, that's got to stay. For the Stacks of Cash, that's going to be bringing in the money for sure. But with Force of Gravity too, I mean, you really got to be watching out for Laby here. You got to be watching out for Laby and Bounce, because consistently you had Laby and Bounce just pincering people in with those Gal weapons. And, I mean, Bounce on the Kraken is true a force to be reckoned with, because whenever they would shoot themselves out into the middle section, you saw Stacks of Cash completely scatter and get out of the way. And like I said, I think that Stacks of Cash is just having issues with really keeping their feet on the ground, but also keeping the money in their pockets, because you can't really have Stacks of Cash if you're completely getting busted through on your defense.
No, that can be quite hard, and they've got to watch out now. Now is, all the pressure on the line. You can't falter here if you want to make this comeback. We're seeing the double gal come out from the sides as Stacks of Cash will bounce on that 96 deco, and the 52 coming out as well. It'd be a lot of pressure. I mean, 2 one-shot weapons, or two two-shot weapons. Oh my gosh, imagine if gal was a one-shot weapon.
I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes it feels that way. Sometimes it feels that way, but not going to be happening here in terms of the Force of Gravity. Again, the Force of Gravity is being felt with that Kraken coming out from Bounce. Already a Power Clan making contact with the basket. The first pop in the hands of the Force of Gravity here. X-Battle in a great spot with the Trizuka. They found 3 picks. That's 3 picks there, and some of them being delayed for Stacks of Cash. Not enough to follow up, though, unfortunately. So just a solo pop and a pity clam in the hands of Stacks of Cash. So economy looking pretty good for Stacks. Can they actually maintain and liquefy more of their assets? I'm sure that we'll find out.
I am loving your puns this round, Saf. They are on point. But right now, Saf, it looks like they are able to do just that. Moving forward into mid, getting 3 down on Stacks, or on Forces of Gravity. Do they know? Do they know about the one in mid? They break the basket, right? But they have to watch for their flanks for people coming in. Potentially here could spell disaster, but it looks like they are going to just be able to have a pretty good score here. They jump in, they're able to add that power clam there. That is pretty big, but Saf, we saw last time, we saw that 57. I think that's almost exactly where we were last time we played this map, and it just all fell apart at the end, so it's definitely not a safe push by any means.
Yeah, I appreciate Helix getting a little bit of a tap there and then just being forced to jump out and retreat and wait for the rest of their mates to come back in. X Battle, though, causing havoc here, going
Oh my
X Games mode, getting 3, looking in for the 4th. Can they fight with Helix here? Helix finally getting taken down, and with help from their friends in the Force of Gravity. So the basket for Force of Gravity being popped, lead being changed, and they still have a power clam in possession there. They have their pity online. They have more just clams in hands to follow up there. Bounce throwing out that wall. The Trizuka is going to try to clear the space in that one opening there. Down to the 25 mark now for the Force of Gravity with 3 members going down. Stacks of cash kind of throwing money in their faces to try to cause a barrier or a screen to prevent any more onslaught coming out from the Force of Gravity. Down to the 25 mark, though, for Force of Gravity. Stacks of cash going to be having to do as they say as the other team, get your money up.
Yeah, God, that was such a crazy quad from X Battle to open that up as well. Just talk about the dominant presence that they have on that map. But right now, Stacks of Cash are the ones who are looking up to get a push going here. They have the clam economy in their favor at the moment, and they've got the space going for them in mid, but they've got to watch out for X Battle dropping from behind. Gonna be picking off one, looking to see if they can find the others, pushing Helix back, knocking Helix out there before going down, getting a nice double to be able to stall this out. The power clam does go to the basket, but do they have more to add to the table? There they go. They're gonna add at least a few more, bringing that score down to 46, but that power clam in the back breaks, and it looks like they're going to be struggling to get these extra clams back up to that basket before it closes. Not going to be able to do so in time. Some score added onto there, but with a minute and a half left in this game, Stacks and Cash needs to find something a little bit more sustained.
Yeah, and I think, too, the real ace in the hole here for Force of Gravity is this Kraken gameplay coming out from Bounce, because you could see just a couple seconds earlier, there was one member of Stacks of Cash fighting and grappling with the Kraken, and so the other 2 members could escape. So so that's going to be really major there, because Bounce didn't really find too much value. They were able to take one out, but I'm sure they were looking for more and hungry for more. But now with the advantage that the Force of Gravity has at this moment, taking out Swag from the ledge and X Battle going down, I mean, an absolute firefight happening down in the middle section there, just one after the other being traded out. There hasn't really been like a solid push here in these last few seconds. It's just kind of folks fighting back and forth looking for advantage, but I mean, it's hard to find when you just keep trading.
Yeah, it certainly is, but right now that's just helping Forces of Gravity. You can see that Bounce 2 moving in there with that Kraken, trying to create some open spaces. They move up here on the ledge. A great pick here as well. The Whale going to go out, going to create some spaces. Coolers ready to assist this push. Now they may be able to extend their lead here with just 19 seconds left. Although it looks like they may just wait just a little bit to see maybe if they can trigger that time, or perfect overtime kind of condition, but going down is dangerous for them here as Stacks of Cash moving quickly through mid. Are we going to see overtime trigger? They don't have a clam.
They don't have a ball.
They
don't have a ball. They were trying. You could see that they were just kind of hemorrhaging. They've been hemorrhaging money through that entire game, and you could see that they were trying to grasp at straws for that one, just putting anything in their pockets that they could. The clam spawns were not on the side of Stacks of Cash, and so payday is going to come late. The Force of Gravity keeping us on the ground in a 3-0.
Yeah, unfortunate for them. Bounce with these incredible Krakens, and I mean, you talked about it, Saf. I mean, it's not always that Bounce necessarily gets kills, but Bounce just forces people back, displaces them. Kraken is just such a momentum stealer. Anytime that Stacks of Cash really was able to try to get things going, Forces of Gravity could just come in with this and say, hey, you're gonna have to wait another extra 10 seconds before you can really start trying to get things going. And of course, here's that just beautiful quad from X Battle as they dance around with the pencil forever before finally getting that pick.
Yeah, and you gotta really appreciate Helix trying to make the best of that fight there, because you could tell they were trying to just keep their own feet on the ground and painted, but they were also trying to poke as best as they could, but it didn't matter. There wasn't enough time for them to maintain that, because you had, again, like, you had the Force of Gravity coming down on you tenfold, and they were ultimately got pincered out of the ring for this one. So unfortunate for Stacks of Cash. Stacks of Cash going to be bumped down into the losers bracket, and the Force of Gravity is going to keep pushing us down into the earth. moving forward into the winners bracket. So sorry folks, we didn't get to go on vacation and we didn't get to go shopping at the market again. However, we are going to be moving on forward and down the line for our next matches coming soon. So if you want to follow along with us at home, I highly encourage you to do so. Take a look at this bracket right now. So like we said, the force of gravity is going to be the ones that are going to push forward and get going, and then Stacks of Cash getting knocked down into the losers bracket there. And then looking across the line, so Gru and Geomancy are still fighting it out here. Gru actually being successful, so you're going to have a Gru, a very, very strong team going against the force of gravity. They're going to try their hands against the theory and see if they can contest it and make it not a law anymore. And then you have BTDX and Duck Motif down in the third winners bracket. Celeste is finding success against Blank Z, who we got to see previously, and moving forward. And then Moonlight getting a 3-0 over CJ Point, and they're going to be facing off with TH Salmon in the next round, which I believe that's where we are also going in the bracket now, Toma.
That is correct. That is exactly where we're going. And may not have gone to the market, may not have been able to go shopping, but I hear that we might be able to go on a little bit of a archaeology expedition here soon.
Oh?
In ruins.
Oh, okay. So we get to experiment with some archaeology today. Toma, that's really fun because I personally have a degree in anthropology, and so super intriguing to me. Would love to know more lore about Umami Ruins. And so if we can, yeah, if we can just take our little roll of tools, our little rock hammers, our brushes, and we can go and check out the ruins and maybe discover and reconstruct some history on Umami Ruins. And speaking of reconstructing history, let's talk a little bit about Moonlight and TH Salmon a little bit here. Glad that we get to have some FaceTime with Moonlight. There was no doubt in my mind that we wouldn't get to see them here today on 20XX. So you have Shadowin, Basil, Omega, and SS Nolan in that group of folks, and you have Chara as their coach to bring it up. But then on the other side, TH Salmon, Toma. Now, definitely a run for their money. You have Tamako, Synapse, and Lexi bringing it up over on the side. Excuse me. You have them bringing it up on the side of TH Salmon. So, again, a battle, really big battle of a battle of titans, if you will. Like these are two very strong teams, and also no strangers to the high level gameplay at all, just like who we got to see last time. No strangers to the gameplay. Screen is going to be opted in, so be careful and mindful of your eyeballs, folks, if that is going to be coming forward. But this is going to be I just don't even know what else to say, Toma. This is going to be a really good fight because a lot of these folks have co-mingled and cross-pollinated in different scrims before. So now they just get to do it on the big screen and in a tournament.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've seen these players time and time again across plenty of tournaments. I mean, for the folks here on the IPL stream, if you were watching last night on Neon Whale, you saw Tamako fighting out there, coming in third place in last night's Neon Whale. These are some really, really high quality competitors. And I mean, Moonlight, of course, is just an absolute fan favorite right now in the community as well.
Yeah, Moonlight's really been making a name for themselves. I mean, they had one hell of a run at LTC just earlier this year. They were able to force Starburst. They were able to force Starburst into a bracket reset. Unfortunately, not able to push the push the win through the bracket reset. So they were ultimately the second place winners at LTC. However, they had the wind in their sails and they forced the bracket reset to happen. And I feel that last time that we saw players from Moonlight kind of commingle with folks from Last Resort, we had a collab of Last Light at Riptide last year. And the same thing, Last Light pushed FT Win into the losers bracket, which was like absurd. That was like one of the biggest things I think that happened at Riptide last year. But there was also so many other matches happening throughout the venue that folks were so invested in, I believe, in the Cherry Limeade set that was happening at a different station. So it came out later to the folks that like, hey, Last Light forced FT Win into losers bracket, but ultimately FT Win coming back and taking the whole thing, fighting the gauntlet in losers bracket and coming up and fighting Last Light again in in the finals at Riptide. So Moonlight is no stranger to the podium stage, Toma. They may find themselves getting close to victory on the podium stage, but also they know the keys to success and they know what works for them. And especially if they are going to be maybe swapping around some backlining, especially you have Basil, who has been playing Pencil more often, but are very much more accustomed to playing the E leader. But you also have Shadowwind, who plays on the tent, but can switch around and play on the end zap as well. And you have Kraken coming out from Nolan. And I mean, which, if you're trying to study Kraken gameplay, I've said this before and I will keep saying it, Nolan is the player to be watching and keeping your eyes on if you want to learn a thing or two. And so I'm excited. I always appreciate watching Moonlight and seeing what they bring to the table every time. And it's no different here. I'm excited. I love Moonlight. They're great. And I like the folks on TH Salmon as well, because we've just gotten to see them in so many different spaces. And so getting to invite them here on the stage with us on the IPL channel to fight Moonlight is just, of course, it's a treat. It's always a treat.
Oh, it absolutely always is. And I mean, you talked about like they not quite getting that win at LTC too, but I think they were the first ever team to force a bracket reset at
Mm-hmm.
LTC. Even so, that's even just history there. And this is a team that like, constantly is trying to make history, constantly trying to push the boundaries. And I mean, there is just a ton of room up in the top right now for top level Splatoon to grow. And this is one of those teams that's really trying to take that and push it to the extreme and be like, hey, we're that next top level Splatoon team. We're that next team that you want to see on the world stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've been putting in the work for it too. Like, 100%. They show up. And that's why time and time again you'll hear us commentators just say, like, go to these events, go to Riptide, go to your locals, go and support the players that are there, because you really get to see like a storyline play out. Because like you said, Moonlight being the first ones to force a bracket reset at LTC, that's a really big piece of the narrative of competitive Splatoon, because Moonlight has been consistently showing up to these things time and time again. And I'm sure that Riptide is going to be no different. You're going to have folks, maybe not the whole team, but you will have folks from Moonlight showing up at Riptide as well. But you will also probably have people from like FT Win, like previous Riptides, as you know, like you have a lot of top level players that show up to these things. And I'm hoping, I want nothing but the best for Moonlight. They've been really putting in the work, and so getting to see them get a nice win, a huge win, especially with another major under their belt, but getting the gold this time and not following in the footsteps of the Starburst and the FT Wins of the world. And I mean, you want to root for them. It's like they're the underdog in this situation. So like, how can you not?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm excited to see what they're bringing out to the table. We're going to be seeing it very, very soon. Getting into this room here, like we said, Splat Zones, Umami Ruins. This is one of our only double zones maps in the game, and it is one of those that can just be really, really challenging to get in once you're locked out. Teams can push so far forward up into your base. We did have that recent renovation, which does give you a little bit more space to work with, making it a little bit easier there. But it's going to be quite the surprise here, especially with two teams that have been known to be just really, really aggressive and can really get up there super fast.
And it hurts me sometimes, Toma, because I sometimes wish that I had the gumption that these folks have to play this game, and they can just be so mindful um of their of their team fight tactics and like what they want to do. And it's one of those things that's like really finding the people, like finding the synergy with the folks that you play with really sets you apart from the low level to the mid level to the high level. And it seems like a lot of the folks that break out of the low level, it really just seems like people find their momentum once they start winning and getting gold in those lower level tournaments, and they find themselves in the more mid level tournaments. You see people in like SAC, you see people in Neon Whale, Proving Grounds as well. You start seeing folks be more active in that. And I mean, we saw it with Secret Elixir, we saw it with Overtime, we've seen it with who else has won Low Ink recently? I mean, I think EP Dreepy as well. Like EP Dreepy was pretty involved in Low Ink for a while, and now I'm pretty sure they can't play Low Ink anymore. So it's nice to see folks really break through to the other side, because once you can really get that on lock and make it work, I mean, man, it's really is a force to be reckoned with. But finally, we're opening up with the weapons on both sides here. Lexi pulling out the pencil and a Wiper. You have Wiper versus Stamper here, a fight as old as time, and you have Shadowwind actually pulling up with the shot as well. So they're no stranger to the Trizuka either, because they like to use that tent that has Trizuka equipped with it as well. So with opening statements being made here, I mean, TH Salmon is going to take control of their zone, as Moonlight is going to reflect that as well. But again, it's like, it's just a neutral game until you can really get a good advantage, and that's going to be seen by TH Salmon.
Yeah, right there. You already saw how fast Hinlo was trying to push up, and then realizing maybe I'm a little bit alone. Let's wait just a second. Probably the right call there. And a hammer hitting two. That was huge. Shabako has that nice Zuka to force them back, and it's now just Basil. And this is that kind of scary, dangerous lockout situation that you have to be aware that can happen. And they want to make sure Moonlight doesn't feed here. Basil, unfortunately, going down to a spare bomb there.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Kind of a rock in a hard place, jumping down into that suction bomb. But, I mean, the members of TH Salmon are well spread out here because they're utilizing all of their space that they have. You can see, too, they're not bunching up very much. And you can see the Kraken immediately changing directions. They're not going out into the midsection, but trying to get Henlo out of the way. So that special was just basically burned for nothing by Moonlight. Down into the single digits now. We're trying to contest possession here, but Moonlight is just not having it right now, Toma. This is not their game.
No, like TH Salmon just absolutely up there, and I mean, I think you saw Hinlo like pushing straight up there, and then like jumped out, and like in my mind, I was like, that one doesn't have Zipcaster. No, it doesn't have Zipcaster. Hinlo was just like, oh, I gotta get out, and just repositioned to the zone, and then just continued to find excellent pressure, and that's the crazy kind of split-second instant decision-making that you can see that works so well, and they were able to hold that push all the way through the count.
Oh my god, that hammer throw, though.
That was beautiful. Like,
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I mean, even look here, like at the end, while Moonlight's trying to get back in here, Synapse waiting for the right moment, use that wall for cover before going around and just stalling out the perfect amount of time that they needed. Everything that TH Salmon did here was just absolutely textbook perfect.
Yeah, and that wasn't it for Moonlight. We hyped up Moonlight. That wasn't their best game, but you know what? We've seen this historically with Moonlight. That first game is just it's not where they really want to show up and shine and force any sort of force their hand. You know, they don't want to force their hand in the first game. The first game's always kind of information gathering and moving around and also getting your fingers warmed up for the different maneuverability and things that you're trying to do. So when we move into tower control on Hagglefish Market, I think Moonlight has a better idea with what they want to run here, and maybe it's just moving some folks around. That could be putting Shadowwind on the tent. That could be pushing Basil into a longer range charger weapon. That, you know what I mean? It's like they could really force that and push that around. However, I think another player to keep an eye out for is going to be Omega on that Stamper if they choose to keep it, because consistently we have seen Omega utilize that Zipcaster and be so good with their landing points that if they are able to really get something going there, I just think Moonlight didn't really have the momentum to begin with in that first game, because TH Salmon was already there in the zone in their spawning point before Moonlight could even think or breathe to think about to do something. So it's like
a lockout heavy map too. That's
yeah.
Once you get up in there, it's really hard to evict them out, and that's exactly what TH Salmon did. But here, I think it's a map where it's gonna lean a little bit more into the Moonlight's comp and give them a little bit more space to work with. It's not quite as fast paced.
Wow, so Omega's feeling pretty inspired by that stamp throw, because they are going to actually play one from TH Salmon's book, and they're going to opt to use that as well. So Shadowwind still staying on the shot there. They definitely need to have a more of an aggressive weapon to be pushing forward and fighting with the other shot and the other Wiper. So the only difference in weapon here, folks, is that 52 gal and the 96 gal deco coming out from Nolan. And so I mean, Nolan is a key player here with using that Kraken, and they're very, very well versed in it. And I think that, but on the flip side, when you have the Killer Whale coming out from the other Gal weapon, that's also huge displacement tool that you can use. And you want to be displacing Basil as much as you can, because you do not want Basil getting comfortable. As we can see, Moonlight is going to take this first checkpoint uncontested.
Yes, they are, and Moonlight's already in a great position here. SS Nolan waiting for just the right moment to try to apply some extra pressure here in the ramp, but watching out, turning around, finding a pick onto Synapse, trying to deal with Tomoko, but Tomoko is going to clear it out. Checkpoint 1 is going to remain intact right now, which is huge, huge, huge for TH Salmon, especially as they're moving forward, trying to see if they can get checkpoint 1 of themselves, and 3 down onto Moonlight's going to be a great way for them to start that out, Saf.
Yeah, and I think Henlo being there, you had 3 different members of Moonlight trying to take Henlo out of the game on that corner. And just the amount of distractionary pressure that Henlo can bring to the table is immense, because the lead now being flipped, that checkpoint is going to be popped. You have Basil by themselves on this elbow point. A lot of poke to be had, but they don't have the damage. And already, again, you have 3 members down. That's a delayed wipe on Moonlight.
Yeah, this is huge. The pressure that TH Salmon is able to apply here, especially as they reach this 3rd checkpoint. Omega diving in to save that tower. It looks like this push may be over there for them, but Hinlow still just trying to clear some space for them. Looking at that, getting a pick on Nolan in the back, looking at Basil just trying to stop Moonlight from getting back out here into mid, and you can see that TH Salmon still has pretty good control over mid, thanks to Hinlow just burning some time off and distracting them in their base.
Yeah, that's going to be the ace in the hole, I think, for Moonlight. They got to get Henlo out of the process before they can infiltrate any deeper than they have. You have 2 specials online, but one of them getting taken out, so no value from the Zuka, but they will still hold on to it even when they come back into the game. So Shadowwind can still provide some value here. But Omega, in a back-and-forth trade of Tri-Zukas, Omega goes down, but also you have Henlo going down as well. So an interesting Zuka trade to be had there. Still just a neutral game in this midsection. Omega trying to utilize the hammer of their own, but not before Lexi is going to push them and force them out of the game. Again, Moonlight not really finding too much value with their specials here, and Salmon is just so quick to bring the fight to them that Moonlight doesn't have any time to recorrect.
No, and Tomoko there getting a nice pick as well before going down. You see seeing kind of trade for trade going out right now. 2 minutes left in the game. TH Salmon definitely benefiting from those trades a lot more than Moonlight at the moment. Moonlight just needs to find a way to get a few clean picks before moving forward, but Tomoko getting a great pick with that Zuka, and now you see that just again, mid having these scrappy fights. SS Nolan with that Kraken gonna try to create some space for Moonlight. They still need to break this first checkpoint, Saf.
Yeah, that Zuka shot was so clean onto Shadowwind just a few seconds ago. Look at Omega trying to come in and get that stance, and it's just enough damage for them to get a nice double pick. This is huge for Moonlight here, as Omega is popping off and getting a sweet triple splat. Finally onto the 2nd checkpoint. This is where Moonlight is going to change the narrative, Toma.
Yeah, they're trying to. Tomoko going on the side, trying to stop that tower. Not going to be able to do so. No, or it looks like Hinlow was battling it out on the tower there, trying to save it. Moving forward, looks like they may be able to. Hinlow's going to clutch it up. SS Nolan is left there. Omega's trying to get into the tower. Look at this scrappy fight going around. Tomoko trying to seal this off, trying to stop that push there. I thought for sure we were going to see a lead change there, but EH Salmon able to just save it by a hair.
Yeah, they're hanging on by a thread, Toma, but this is not over for Moonlight. They still have the tower on that right corner. They're still going to try to push it. Shadowwind going down from the shot there, but then you have 2 more specials online coming from Moonlight. You have the Kraken now being popped. You also see that they have the hammer in possession as well. Nolan is going to try to force and clear some space on that front plat there, but not finding any value. But a lot of distraction, though, as Moonlight finally has all 4 members up here. They're close to touching these last couple points, Toma, but 3 of them go down right at the end. It's just Nolan left alive, but it's not going to be enough. TH Salmon hanging on by a thread and taking game 2.
Hinlow diving that tower both times on defense to just get key picks at the vital moments was crazy. And I mean, none of this would have opened up, first of all, if it weren't for Nolan's crazy pick
Yes.
there with the hammer, just getting enough to just pick off those two. But wow, TH
I think
Salmon,
you mean
talk about
Omega.
or Omega, yes. Why did I
It's
SS
okay.
Nolan is yeah,
It's
there's
okay.
a lot going on.
We can gush
That's the
about Moonlight.
Kraken.
Yeah.
That's the Kraken. Omega with the wiper. But talk about a crazy, crazy cool under pressure defense from TH Salmon to be able to survive through all of that pressure. Because I thought for sure it was game over there a few times.
Yeah, I mean, Moonlight had a really strong presence in those last couple of seconds, and I mean, it's tough because it's like we said, and it's what I find so valuable about this game is that even in the highest level gameplay with people that have so many hours locked in, you can still make the most simple mistakes. And here's that throw from Omega. So Omega got enough damage to where they just had to swipe one time to take the 2 picks on that top part, and then they just, I mean, the third one was just extra. That was just additional snackies for Omega to take there. So that was a huge opening play to try and get some more momentum for Moonlight, but just not quite enough, Toma. I mean, even with TH Salmon faltering there and having 3 members down, it still wasn't enough for Moonlight to change the story and to push the tower just those few more unit points. I mean, it was 5 unit points away, and even with just 1 member of TH Salmon being alive, it was still enough for them to maintain their lead. With just one member alive, it was enough to maintain their lead. So, I mean, again, going into Clam Blitz on Scorch Gorge, we're back at Scorgore playing Clam Blitz. What is the change that's going to be made here? Because, I mean, obviously, Nolan is still going to be keeping the Kraken. We know that Kraken gameplay and cheese doesn't work as well. It still doesn't work, but we're still going to be seeing that coming out from Nolan because they have so much basket clearing power. They put on the pressure when they do use the Kraken and break into the other side here. Oh my god, and I love this carbon pick coming out from Omega. Just nothing but aggression from Omega.
Yeah, I think a big thing here is they need to find their answer to Henlo. Henlo's kind of been the clutch factor on the side of TH Salmon, who's been running in, who's been getting the picks in the defense, who's really the first one forward and the furthest up in all the offenses, and Henlo's kind of the star player here as far, I mean, obviously everybody else on TH Salmon is also doing a great job, but it's really Henlo that's the shining star that's clearing them path forward and is kind of the key to making their plays. So they've really got to watch out for those, especially since this is such a good map to kind of shark around corners and under these ledges on.
Yeah, and I think the Salmon is going to make a strong opening statement because it's always just a firefight for mid until somebody can really get something going here. Nolan going to try to take up the left-hand side with the Kraken. Going to take Tomoko out of the game. That Zuka is going to find no value because of Nolan there. But still, 3 members of TH Salmon going down. This is going to be Moonlight's opportunity to force that basket pop. But still, Toma, even then, with the man advantage, it took them a little bit of time to make that power clam.
Yeah, it did, but they are able to get up there. They're able to get some score on the board, trying to add some more. Shadow's going to keep that basket open for just a little bit longer there. Also utilizing that cooler so that they can be back fast as they go down. They're down to 59 there, trying to still extend it open, are going to be able to do so. The clans do seem to be in their favor there, but unfortunately going to be picked off by a bomb as they try to move forward there. And they're going to be back faster than ever, especially with the double cooler comp on the side of Moonlight.
That's true. Moonlight is running double cooler, so they just want to be in and out of the game as quickly as possible. This is going to be their opportunity for that. I think they're getting used to spawning in and out, and they just want to be as present as they possibly can be. So there goes cooler number 1, and everybody going to be taking drinks as we're trying to push in and take the fight to this elbow side here in front of the basket of TH Salmon. This is finally where it seems like things are changing because TH Salmon hasn't really been able to come out into mid much at all.
No, they have not. This has been a completely different game from Moonlight, who's just keeping commanding presence right now over this map. You see a second cooler coming out there. Omega moving forward through here. Has a Zuka at the ready as well, but looking to find a pick before using it. Going to be able to find one. That cooler is going to save their Zuka, I believe. SS Nolan now picking off one and creating this entranceway here underneath this basket, picking off Synapse. Now ending underneath that basket, may be able to get some way in. Look, that Zuka coming out at the right moment. This is the Moonlight everybody knows and loves.
Yeah, it just took a couple of games to really to find our footing here, but finally Moonlight in the forefront of this game here. Basil trying to push up and just keep the basket painted as much as possible for enough for Shadowwind to come in. Unfortunate wipeout, but still down to the 6 mark because Shadowwind able to bust through and build a power climb in the final moments there. But look at this, TH Salmon already ready to respond, Toma. I mean, 2 power claims by the basket already, but immediately a response from Moonlight on the respawn. That is a delayed wipe on TH Salmon.
And Omega just, I don't know if you noticed, dropped in from behind, went around mid to come behind them and just pinch on that flank there. And it worked out so beautifully. They did not notice Omega, who was able to clear that out. A really great defense. And now we're seeing more of the same, where TH Salmon is just kind of stuck in the base waiting for the right moment, but is actually going to be able to get a jump in. And as soon as I say that, gonna die and drop the power clam off the map. Right now, Moonlight is just absolutely holding this together.
Yeah, that TH Salmon, that was quite literally a last resort tactic there. They were like, we gotta do something. Let's try to jump in and get close, and it just didn't work out for TH Salmon. And unfortunate timing for that ball to also fall off into the depths of the cliffs of Scorched Gorge. A lot of clams to be lost off of that side ledge there consistently because it just bounces right over and you can't really control it. So TH Salmon, I mean, again, having a power clam in their possession, they are no strangers to trying to keeping economy good. Finally going to find a response here and make a break, but not before Omega's going to take 2 people out of the process, make it 3 people getting taken out. That's going to force the jump out for TH Salmon. Tomoko, unfortunately, jumping in, though, as their mate was jumping out. So that's going to stop at the 65 mark with 30 seconds left to go. And again, Moonlight still on the forefront. You have Nolan with the Kraken jumping into this basket area, trying to contest Synapse, but making safe passage for that power climb to make contact.
Yep, and they're going to be able to get that down to 1. They just need 1 extra clam, and there they go. Moonlight securing that game, and wow, what a different Moonlight team we've seen here on Scorched Gorge. They're here, they're ready, they've warmed up, they're like, it's time to show up, and they have to reverse sweep this set now, Saf, so a lot of pressure on the line, but if they keep playing like that, Saf, it could be easy for them. But of course, TH Salmon, not to be underestimated.
No, Toma, I have the stream up on a different screen, and I hope that Jorian got that last play, because that last clam that flew into the basket did not look close enough to make it. Shadowwind was so far away for that throw to make contact, and it did. So here in the final moments, Nolan is going to make an opening. That power clam's going to go in and open it up. Look at this on the right-hand corner. Look at that! Behind that little right-hand like angle piece on the map there.
I think I know what's happening here. It's just that, like, the future, right? We don't have access to it, but next patch, watch it. There's going to be clam throw up the ability, and they've just got early access, you know?
Yeah, that was a Hail Mary of a throw from Shadowwind. I'm so surprised that they were close enough for that to even make contact with the basket. That was huge. Moonlight is still in the fight here, finally showing up. I mean, that was the Moonlight that we were talking about at the beginning, Toma. The Moonlight that was playing on Scorched Gorge Clams. And honestly, it leaves the question up for debate, because now that we got to see it front and center, is Double Cooler the way? Is that the way?
And really, I think it's, of course, very comp dependent how your team plays. But when Moonlight has that double cooler and they're able to just run in, you have these players like Omega who can just get super fast, SS Nolan, who just are very, very aggressive and who constantly win those frontline fights. If you can enable them to take that with minimal risk twice as often as you could with just 1 cooler, I think it works out really, really well for them.
I mean, I don't foresee them even changing that, Toma. They're still going to be holding on to the double cooler comp. No changes to be had. Omega feeling really confident on this carbon roller. And, I mean, as they should be, because we got to see them earlier in that game. I mean, they beelined it for the basket area of TH Salmon. They wasted no time to try to get there. And we're very much a force to be reckoned with, and I mean, the force of nature is going to be no different here for Omega as well. But opening statement being made from TH Salmon, this is very, very cognizant and reminiscent of the first games that we got to see in this round here. But there we go, Moonlight forcing a delayed wipe out there, and Omega trying to come forward and take the fight to Henlo, but you have 3 different members of Moonlight just covering the corridor. I mean, what is TH Salmon to do?
Yeah, I mean, I like that Umami Clan Blitz games. It looks like Moonlight was or Umami's Flat Zones game. It looks like Moonlight is able to find their way back into zone here relatively easily. Now it's gonna just keep trying to maintain this space and control that zone. They're able to do so. They gotta watch out for Tomiko coming behind them though. Gonna be picking one off now. Basil set up here in this good position to just keep paint down on that zone and try to poke. And Henlo there getting a nice assist as well to keep this zone in control of Moonlight at the moment. It's going to be on TH Salmon to really be able to find a way to get really far forward into Moonlight space. I don't think sitting in that elbow is really going to cut it, especially when they have the range of that pencil from the side of Basil too. And right now, Moonlight is still just continuing to win these fights and continuing to keep this pressure on that zone.
I love when Omega just tries to recorrect. They got way too deep and they were like, nope, this ain't it. And then they immediately jumped back out. But Moonlight still having such a strong hold on the midsection. Tomiko finding their Trizuka, but not finding any value for it, and especially because Nolan changed into that Kraken form as quickly as possible, but still enough for TH Salmon to try to flip the script and add another long penalty onto Moonlight. 68 unit points for them to try to tick it down. And with 2 members going down, this could be danger and good for TH Salmon to try to push forward and get themselves into the spawning point of Moonlight here as they do take the zone. Special's going to be coming out. There's a lot of displacement coming from that whale and the Trizuka too. But when you have a point blank shot from the Trizuka there, I mean, again, what's a girl to do?
Exactly, and that 2 down was pretty dangerous for Moonlight. Basil able to at least manage to save it up a little bit, getting a pick onto that corner there, which was huge for them. And now you got the Kraken coming out from Nolan, gonna find a pick on the Synapse, gonna be huge. 2 down now on the side of TH Salmon as they're looking for the pick onto Tomiko too. Not quite gonna be able to find it, and it looks like the zone is gonna flip into Moonlight's favor there. TH Salmon now though does have control. Look at this. This is their opportunity to really get forward. They need to make sure that Basil doesn't pick one of them moving again onto that corner, but Basil's been doing such a great job of just finding a spare pick or two as TH Salmon tries to move forward, and Omega's gonna clear it out there.
Yep.
Big Safa.
Oh my god, that was huge from Omega. The very tip of that flick, able to find contact and get the pick. There is no penalty for TH Salmon here, so this is looking very snowbally right now for Moonlight as 2 members are pushing forward and putting a lot of pressure on Basil, but not before Nolan is going to come in and help out with that. Look at that, opening the way for Moonlight to come back into the zone. That was a huge response from Nolan to Basil there.
That Kraken finding 2 is absolutely huge. I don't think they knew it coming, picking on the Tomiko, and then just not fast enough of a call out to save the other member of TH Salmon there. And it was just absolute perfect timing for Moonlight, who looked like they were really starting to lose control of the speed of that game. Now have that zone back into their control. Now they're almost through this penalty staff, and if they can control it for just a little bit longer, we could potentially be seeing knockout. But look at all this blue going down on the zone. That penalty is going to be readjusted on to Moonlight, and it looks like they're going to be trying to just maintain that, but Moonlight is pushing forward with so much aggression again. Basil finding a great pick in that Kraken from SS Nolan, forcing people down onto that left-hand side. You can see they're all converging on Synapse, who's going to be forced to jump out. This is great teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of movement that Moonlight has with the pencil paint from Basil is huge, because I've been seeing members frequently just kind of dance in the pencil stripes that Basil's throwing out and just trying to extend their range as best as they can, pushing into the, like, as far as they can go in each, like, little lane that Basil's been making, but also not overextending to get caught in the blue. So you could see Henlo was trying to push forward there, but not able to find value, so Moonlight is still going to be holding on to the zone as we go into the final seconds. With 3 members down, though, and Lexi being the last one alive, I mean, the pressure's on there, because what is Lexi going to do? They tried to paint the zone, but you had 2 other people shooting at you at the same time. So Moonlight taking us into a game 5. It is not over yet. They are looking for the reverse sweep, Toma.
They are back, and they are so strong as
We're
they've shown
so
here.
back.
Like, oh my gosh, stop. And the beautiful teamwork between, like you said, Basil just putting down paint for their team members to push through, and you see just, especially Omega and SS Nolan, who are really making use of that. And the beautiful Kraken, look at that beautiful just edge of the
Yeah.
vertical on to Tomoko to get that pick. And then we see great Krakens come out from SS Nolan there, just like that, finding a great pick onto Synapse there, and then looking in, trying to find Tomoko. Not quite able to find it there, but I know there's another moment where SS Nolan's able to get two of those Krakens. The Kraken plays have been just huge this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like the call and response that Moonlight has is so incredible to get to watch firsthand, because again, so much pressure when Nolan turned around with that Kraken to help out Basil. Basil was not going to be staying alive for much longer there. Like, they were in between a rock and a hard place. Like, they just had to back up and they didn't have much space to do so. So when that call out was made, you could see Nolan immediately turned around, and like you said, it was like, did they know? They didn't, because TH Salmon had their backs turned, and then they literally had a Kraken drill them right in the small of their backs. You know, like literally back-breaking Kraken plays coming out from Nolan. And that, again, that call and response time that Moonlight has is so incredible, because you can see a lot of the callouts play out in real time. And again, it's just, the communication is astounding, because it's like, it's point-second decision making. It's really quick and on the nose with what you want to do. And so the synergy that we got to see between Basil and Nolan in that game was really phenomenal. And also the movement tactics that Omega has, oh my god, you frontliners, take notes, because Omega is so fast with that Carvin roller, and the mechanical advantage that they have in comparison to other frontlines is pretty insane to get to watch.
Yeah, it really is, Saf. And I mean, it's been such a treat getting to see these games play out. I mean, I'm excited for this Game 5. And I mean, TH Salmon's been a team that's cool under pressure, but like, we see here that there's been so much pressure from Moonlight coming out, who's really found their footing. So will TH Salmon be able to bring it back out here? Tower control, Mako Mart going for a little bit of a treat. I'll meet you in the dessert aisle, Saf, because we are in for a treat this game.
Yeah, dude, you can find me at Safurea on Twitter in the freezer section of Mako Mart, but also stuck in the checkout line because I forgot my membership card. But you know, it happens to the best of us. But you know who hasn't forgot their membership card? It's Moonlight, because Moonlight going in and getting a nice double pick. And I mean, just a couple seconds on the board for TH Salmon to try to do something, but it wasn't quite enough, because Omega is there in response. And the cooler coming out too with another Trizuka from Omega, finding contact with one member of TH Salmon. That's Lexi going to be going down, and a delayed wipe at that for TH Salmon. So first checkpoint to be had by Moonlight. We're going to go into the second one, Toma.
Yeah, and we still see this very oppressive offense from Moonlight. The same we've seen the past two games here. We got Nolan chasing down with that Kraken, looking to try to pick off Synapse. That Kraken is going to be ending, but still finds the pick onto Synapse. Now looking over at Henlo, trying to get this fight there. Secured up, does within the safety of the splash wall. We are now cruising on to checkpoint 3. And South, we are threatening a knockout here at this rate, but Tomoko is going to be able to stop it right there, and it's Trax pushing here at that stack to stop Moonlight from coming back in. But there's another Kraken ready to go there in the back, looking to turn back around on Tomoko. Tomoko's noticed it this time, but unfortunately, I thought was gonna die on that suction bomb, but manages to live it out and finds two.
Yeah, Tomoko going sicko mode in the corner there. Nolan not finding value with the Kraken, but again, finding themselves in between a corner and nowhere to run. That's just feeding day for Tomoko there. Finally, now TH Salmon has tower in their possession, but still, this double cooler comp from Moonlight, I mean, they can't be stopped, Toma. They're so fast, because look at that, 2 members down already on TH Salmon. Make it 3, that's a delayed wipe coming out from TH Salmon. You have members that are just very much displaced, trying to launch something onto the cooler there to prevent Moonlight from finding any value with it. But it's not really going to matter, because look at this again. Who's got eyes on Nolan, as Nolan is going to force Lexi into a firework?
Yes, they are here now. Looking there in the corner, Omega finds another great pick there with that Zuka, and it is hard for TH Salmon at this point to stop the bleeding. A minute and a half into this game, we're halfway through it, and it has just been absolute dominance so far from Moonlight. Omega going down there in the corner, and it looks like this finally may be the opportunity for TH Salmon to find their way back in, but Nolan is just stopping them from re-entering mid. Every time I think they have an opportunity to, somebody on the side of Moonlight just stops TH Salmon from moving forward.
Yeah, Nolan's literally got a foot 1 foot permanently planted on that right-hand side. Again, a Kraken coming through to try to displace. Look at that jumping mechanic to get up on the top ledge there. So much distraction power that Nolan has to try to displace the members of TH Salmon. But it's not going to matter, and it's not going to be enough, as TH Salmon with Tomoko finding a nice pick with the Trizuka looking in for the second one. Now they're trying to make a proper response here, but it seems like every time they get close, Toma, Moonlight is there to immediately just take them down and knock them down a peg or two. With the hammer coming out, not finding much value there. It unfortunately hits the side and not up onto the platform. But finally, first checkpoint down for TH Salmon. This is where Moonlight is going to seem to be having some trouble this game. But you say that, and look at that. 2 orange X's make it 3 on the screen. Immediately, 3 members of TH Salmon going down. Moonlight back at the forefront.
Yeah, Moonlight here has really found that pacing this game. They're keeping this together, and like, I need to know the Kraken count. Like, how many Krakens has this been on the side of Moonlight? SS Nolan has another one.
And one more in the
ready
pocket.
to go. Like, it is always on board. I know that there's always, you know, tower charge for the team in control of tower on TC, but this is a lot of Krakens and a lot of coolers. We saw 2 coolers out right next to each other, and maybe a couple of cooler is the meta, Saf.
I know, is this really the way? Because for so far, Moonlight is proving that this is how it's to be done. And again, look at that. Nolan finding a pick onto Tomoko, trying to find another one on to Synapse there, forcing Synapse and Lexi to try to fight. So taking some scraping some time off of the tower push for TH Salmon there. A good play from Nolan. You can see Omega trying to go in, not finding any value there, unfortunately. A lot of orange ink, though. This is a great setup for TH Salmon to try to make a response.
Yes, it is. They're able to get control of this tower once again. If they can get, you know, Henlo over here on the side, maybe with a stamp moving in and get some picks, this could spell disaster. Tomoko with Izuka looking for an entrance, but they have to watch out for this Kraken. Nolan is going to be forcing them back, and it looks like this could be disaster. Not touching that tower quite in time. Moonlight wrapping this setup.
Wow, Moonlight forcing the reverse sweep onto TH Salmon. TH Salmon had it in the bag for those first 2 games, but Moonlight finally got it together in the 3rd one, and they were like, not today. We are still here, and we're going to keep on fighting and pushing forward, and that's exactly what they did. And unfortunate for Tomoko, though, on those last final moments, because if that Trizuka was able to find any value on the members of Moonlight, I mean, they were bunched up on the plat, too, on the left-hand side. They were all bunched up there. There was a perfect opening for Tomoko to really cause some critical damage to Moonlight. But, I mean, the fact that it didn't find any value in those final seconds, I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin for the ending there.
Right, you know, some people call it the lottery, Zuko, for a reason. Sometimes you win big, and other times you just lose. And unfortunately, that was one of the times where the Zuka just didn't quite find the value it needed. But I want to talk about, look, you saw a replay there with SS Nolan there, just in that splash wall, causing havoc. SS Nolan, I think this game was really, really a huge key to victory for them. Constantly holding down that right-hand side of the map, just refusing to ever let TH Salmon really get a real push in on this game, and it just really led to a beautiful overall play from Moonlight.
Yeah, but I think what you hit the nail on the head. It's like Nolan had 1 foot on that right-hand side with Kraken consistently throughout the game, but then they had another foot in the midsection fighting with the team fight. Like, they had equal parts of both, and it was the key to victory here for Moonlight, because nobody on TH Salmon had eyes on Nolan for a lot of that game, because I kept saying it. I'm like, where's Nolan? Who's watching Nolan? You have to be watching where that Kraken's going to come in and cause chaos, because, I mean, it was free real estate for Nolan. They were living on that platform for a lot of the game in Kraken mode, and so...
Yeah,
and I'm
Kraken, Saf,
yeah.
won every single minute, plus an extra. Like, they always had Kraken. It was crazy.
Yeah, just never not having Kraken for SS Nolan. So congratulations to Moonlight. We're going to push forward into the bracket. So looking ahead here, folks, if you're following along at home, this is what we're looking at right now. So a really decisive Game 5 for Moonlight to move forward. Celeste and HDMI Cable also finding themselves in a decisive Game 5 and looking to see prediction that Celeste is going to be the next one to face Moonlight in combat here. But we will see, because you never know what's happening on the other side there. If you really want to take a peek, though, I believe that is on the Dapple's that was on the Dapple stream, so you could go over and take a peek there to see what's happening. So waiting for Moonlight to have their next contender, but still looking in on the bracket there, you can see, I think Grugru and Celeste? No, Grugru is going to be pushing forward, I think. I think they are, yeah. So Grugru is fighting hand-to-hand combat with Duck Motif. Duck Motif finding themselves in a decisive 3-0 sweep against BTDX, and BTDX, Toma, has had a really, really awesome Ludi season, I believe, and just also tournament run season these days. They've been doing awesome. But Duck Motif, also a very much an impenetrable wall that is hard to face and force and reckon with. So Duck Motif finding themselves head-to-head with Grugru, and Grugru also a very strong competitor. So now that we're moving forward in the tournament and the bracket, folks, we're really starting to see the big names, the ones that are going to make it through the fray and get into the final bits of the bracket.
Yeah, we definitely are, and I'm very excited where, like you said, we're going to see Grugru versus Duck Motif, and I mean, these are some crazy players. Duck Motif, of course, is a pretty staple name. I mean, we've seen them time and time and time again throughout tournaments, and on the side of Grugru, you have Biscuit, Kyo, Gray, and just all these crazy players that just have huge victories. I even think, like, what is this? I gotta go look at Kyo's won 20XX before. I'm pretty sure Gray has won 20XX before, if I'm not mistaken. I've gotta go look. No, okay, maybe that's not correct. Kyo definitely has before, though, too. And these are players that we've seen that are capable of winning majors. They're capable of winning not just today, right? But the whole
they have.
league.
They have won, not just that they're capable, but they have won majors before. But let's talk a little bit about Duck Motif too. I mean, Red Shell is no stranger to the comp scene. They've been in this since Splatoon 2, as far as I know, maybe even Splatoon 1. And Kaiza as well. Kaiza also being a very strong comp player, getting first in the first sea battle, actually, or no, second in the first sea battle with Ravenous Raccoons. So no stranger to the land stage either, coming out from Kaiza, and some experience really to bring to the table for Duck Motif in these more heavier competitions, and again, especially against folks that are a lot more difficult to play against. So I think, Toma, I believe now we're moving into a counter picking type scenario. Is that correct?
I do believe that is correct. That's what seems to be indicated here on our lovely streams. You know, for once in my life, right? I'm usually I'm casting and I'm also staff, but for once I'm not staff.
Right. Okay, so for those of you back home that you're like, hey, what does counter picking mean? Counter picking is what this format is happening here. So we open up on Barnacle and Dime splat zones. The victor of that round cannot pick Barnacle and Dime again. They cannot pick splat zones again if they find themselves on the counter picking side. So if you are in the counter pick, the person on the losing side of it can pick splat zones again. They can pick it again because they can have another shot at trying to win in that mode. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to be forced into the counterpicking scenario, which, again, I'd like to go back to that last Riptide where Last Light forced FT Win down into the losers bracket. But not only that, but when you find yourself into the grand finals scene, where Last Light did meet FT Win once again, they did force FT Win into the counterpick scenario, which is interesting because I don't think FT Win is very familiar with being in the counterpicking seat. So that's a really fun little tidbit of knowledge there for you. So both teams had been forced to counterpick before. I also want to note that there is going to be a screen at play here, and there is double squeezer. This is the first time we're seeing squeezer today, Toma, and there's two of them. We have one of each.
And another reminder here, you know, right now we're in semis, so the winner here will go on to winners finals, but going on to winners finals also means that they're going to place top 3 at the very least. So the winner of this match will be guaranteed a spot in the Dapple League. So very, very important here for these teams with 20XX hopes. Right now, Duck Motif taking this early control of zone, and they're even trying to take this area from Grogro, trying to move forward, and look, Vexen here just dodging bullets like crazy, trying to find these picks. Red Shell getting a nice trade as well. Gonna hold Duck Motif's control of the zone right now, but Obito is gonna be trying to paint over all of that, get it back in control for them.
Yeah, could we talk about how Kira just stonewalled Azuka shot in the opening statements there, because they just stood there and took it like a champ. And I mean, eventually, yeah, they did go down, but the one shot from the Zuka, point blank, it did not take them down. So if that doesn't describe the momentum of Duck Motif, I don't know what does. But here's Biscuit with Gru pushing up on the left-hand side, trying to launch in some shots, taking Kira down in the process, and also causing quite a bit of damage too to Vexen, but not going to find success in the fight, as Vexen is going to be the one to push forward here. Two members still of Gru up and alive, trying to contest the zone, but you also have Kai'Sa pulling up the rear on that pencil. So look at all of this ink pushing forward, and also using the Trizuka to close off of that corridor. So Gru having trouble finding their footing to get a re-entry point here, but Duck Motif having no trouble at all, as look at how far that pencil is reaching. I mean, the cooler has been planted, but I mean, at what cost? Because you have eyes from the pencil. Until the Trizuka comes out, this could be major for Gru to try to make something else happen.
Yeah, that screen coming out though, and the Tri Strikes as well are going to secure. Oh, I say secure, not quite yet. Going to try to get this zone for Gru, but Duck Motif is going to go 2 down as they try to control that zone. Not going to quite be able to do so. Gru takes control of that. Now Obito is setting up in a great position to apply some pressure. Almost has the Zuka on line as well. You can just start charging that up. They've got Yo there on that bucket trying to pick up Kara, but Kara's going to get the Zuka out. Might do there onto the zone. Obito going to be forced to back out. Red Shell finding the pick there too. Duck Motif standing strong.
Yeah, Duck Motif standing on business here. Look at this momentum that they have. Kira causing havoc in that corridor there. The wall coming up. The Tri-Strikes are going to come out to maybe cause some momentum there. But look at Red Shell finding attachment there, and Kyo said, no way, Jose, taking Red Shell out of the process there. An unfortunate landing spot. That's 2 members down on Duck Motif here, as the members of Gru trying to maybe find an access point, and they do. The screen's going to come out and cause a little bit of a barrier and a big decrease in visibility for Duck Motif, and it's successful in doing so, because I look at this steady push that Gru has now.
Yeah, and I mean, you see Kara kind of forced to jump out, and you kind of saw Kara avoiding that screen. You don't want to take damage from it. It's basically a giant burst bomb direct traveling across your entire screen. And you saw how Gru kind of forced Kara into the corner and forced the jump out, knowing exactly where they were going to go. But now, Duck Motif is the ones back in charge here. Biscuit and Kyo forced to back up here to that snipe area. Kara moving forward, just trying to find some space. The cooler coming out, going to help sustain this push as well, ensuring that if they go down, they will be back fast. But oh my gosh, Gru there again with that screen, trying to break back into this zone, but it's not going to be enough. 2 down. Duck Motif is now threatening a knockout.
Yeah, and especially with the pencil player still being online. I mean, look at that. They just consistently are throwing ink down at the zone. It's like, yes, Gru is in control, and you also have Gray trying to follow up on the pencil as well. But here it is, Toma. 3 members now of Duck Motif down. Look at all 3 members of Gru being pushed up here. This is where the narrative is going to try and be changed. Now that the penalty is gone, you have the screen out once again. You have Cooler coming out. This is where the stacking of specials is really going to matter for Gru if they want to maintain this momentum.
Oh, and the pencil getting picked by Kyo. I don't think they knew Kyo was up there now. Kyo's in a great position, turning around, trying to find Vex in there. This could be disaster for Duck Motif. Kyo is just absolutely tearing it up, finding another one onto Kara before going down. Red Shell stuck in this Zipcaster, gonna just try to paint this zone. Able to neutralize it for just a second, but that isn't going to be enough. Gru coming back from what looked like the brink of disaster.
Yeah, that was getting really dicey for Gru there, but I think really the stacking of those specials right at the end was the key to success. You had the Tri-Strikes come out, you had the screen, forcing everybody back into the spawn, because once they had Duck Motif on the back foot with spawning back in, you had to throw that screen out and just, I mean, where else are they going to try to enter? They have to go through and have sensory overload from the screen if they want to try and go in and take a fight. So that was a great placement by Gru there, but also, I mean, you had Kyo getting literally a 6-kill streak in the pit area in front of that spawning point. So, I mean, just wasting so much time for Duck Motif, but also just trickling, taking people out one by one and just trickling the time as slow as possible. Kind of a slow burn win for Gru there. And with Kyo ending it with a trade too, I mean, that was just kind of the cherry on top for Gru. So I mean, again, one minor slip up from Duck Motif. See, they had 2 specials at the ready, too. They had the Zipcaster and they had the Trizuka there to see if they could maybe find any value out of it, but it just wasn't quite enough, and there was no footing to be had because you had to get Kyo out of there. So well played in the last final seconds by Gru.
Absolutely, and I mean, they were able to put it all together to get that beautiful knockout. Now, they've won that first game. It's on to Duck Motif to choose the counter pick here. The counter pick rules being that you are not able to counter pick a map that you have played in this set. So there is a lot of options open for Duck Motif, and they got quite a strong performance on zones. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they thought that zone still was their best opportunity to start finding some ground here. But of course, you know, it's going to be all about which maps these teams are most comfortable with, and no one knows that better than them.
Yeah, that's very true. So a lot of discussion being had on what the counter pick should be. And I especially know that folks like Biscuit and Kyo very much tend to lean towards splat zones, especially because you have a lot of these players that will play things like in the zone. And you have Kyo, who hosts their own tournaments for things, also trying to cater more so to zones as well. So you have people that are definitely more privy to it and on top of it, and definitely the mode of choice for people. So if Duck Motif, I think, is going to recorrect and find a different mode to try to battle with, I don't think splat zones would be the move.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could be right there. I mean, but they were really close.
Oh.
I mean, we are going to see splat zones come out again, and I mean, I don't know if
As
I can
the crow
blame them.
flies.
Did you see the hold that Duck Motif had for a long time,
No, it's
right? I
true,
think
it's
that
true.
if there was a point in time where Red Shell tried to move in while there was, like, I think 10 counts left on that zone and unfortunately got picked, but if that battle had just turned out slightly different, if Red Shell had found the pick instead, I think you could have seen Duck Motif take that game.
Right, and like what an insult to injury too, where Red Shell was finding a really nice landing spot on that wall and Kyo said, nah fam, I'm gonna throw a tri-strike here and there ain't nothing you can do about it. So I think that's something to be mindful of moving forward for Red Shell. No changes though coming out on either end. You still have the same pencils, you still have those squeezers coming into the fray. But I want to talk about Biscuit. Biscuit has been switching in between like playing the bucket or playing Zap slash squeezer as well, and so it's nice that that screen is opted to be played in because Biscuit is very, very good with this screen weapon. But they're also very good with the Trizuka on the vanilla squeezer as well. So it's just nice to see people being allowed to play to their strengths, and Gru is going to be doing just that as they are making the opening statement with the tri-strikes coming out. Look at that opening that Kyo has made for their teammates to try to push in there. I mean, no entrance point for Duck Motif so far.
Yeah, and look at this screen too. This is a really good map for screen now. It's kind of cutting off all routes for entry. Kara dropping down there and forced to back up, not wanting to take that with the screen damage on them. Red Shell trying to move in and create an opening with that Zipcaster, but not going to quite be enough. But we do see that a lot of blue paint here on this zone, trying to flip, but Gru is going to hold on to it for now. Saf, this is a map that I think really, really plays into that pencil screen combination, and it's going to be hard for Duck Motif to find their break back in. Trying to use the special to their advantage, finding one, but only trading it out. And trades are not what they want to take at the moment, as Gru is able to just easily still keep control of this zone as they maintain man advantage here, trying to get it back there. You see now just 20 counts remaining, Sap. Gru needs to act fast, and with one player down, they're in danger.
Yeah, I really appreciate Obito not overextending there for a moment. They kind of just were painting the zone, but also really much relying on Gray to make the call out for if there was anybody that was going to infiltrate into the entry point there. Look at Kyo here taking the fight to the pencil by Kaiza as well. I mean, Kaiza hasn't been able to find any value there for a few seconds. I mean, the zone now being switched into Duck Motif's favor, and with 3 members of Gru going down, that was the break in the mold that Duck Motif needed. And look at how quickly they're going to take advantage of pushing up here. Red Shell going in on the right flank. Kaiza pushing forward too, going to find some poke. The penalty now being eliminated for Duck Motif. This is going to be really big, and they are still like feeding Toma. Look at that, a delayed wipe on Gru.
They've got to watch Red Shell here, who's looking to find some picks too on the side. The strikes are going to try to clear a path forward, going to be forcing them off some very powerful offensive territory. But Red Shell finding another pick before going down, but Vexen able to keep that pressure up. This is looking to be dangerous that they can't be it back in fast. Kyo is trying to create that opening, but now taking a trade. Biscuit and Gray are the ones left open to try to take this zone by storm. Kara trying to defend it, not going to quite be able to do so. It looks like they may be able to get back to the zone in time, but will they be able to take it back? No, they're not.
Gosh.
There's the lead change, and Duck Motif pulls it back, Saf.
Oh my gosh, and that tri-strike opening coming out from Kyo was huge, but not, I mean, no, not the tri-strike opening, excuse me. Near the following, like the ending seconds, Kyo going in for that trade was huge because Biscuit and Gray were immediately able to find safe passage to push up, but Biscuit immediately taken down into the pit section here. Look at this. So Biscuit and Obito are and Gray able to push forward there, but Biscuit being forced down into that pit area to fight Vexen. So that is a powerful painter being taken away from the zone right away. And so, I mean, just in the final seconds there, it was really much a battle of, do I focus on this fight or do I focus on objective to try to get Vexen out of there? And so Biscuit was trying to do the best they could with what they had. Look at that. So falling down into the corner, that's actually Kira that Biscuit goes in to fight with. So Obito and Gray are going to be forced to go forward there, but still not enough paint power for Obito and not enough space to utilize. Kyo coming in right at the end there. I mean, that was just recipe for disaster for Gru, unfortunately. So honestly, kind of a GG's go next situation from Gru. Like, you know, Duck Motif out, they were like, okay, yes, we see you, we heard you, all right. We got it. We saw that, we see the mistake, we know how to recorrect here. So again, both teams now winning a Splat Zones match. Splat Zones cannot be picked, but Gru going with all reliable on tower control Inkblot, and I'm wondering if they're going in with this on a game 3 because they know this could be a guaranteed win for them.
I mean, you say that, but stop, I have to point out, this is kind of, you know, the final destination map of tower control. This is the map that is highly used in competitive play. All these teams are going to be very, very, very familiar with this tower control stage on Inkblot, so it's kind of like, yeah, you can be very confident in your skills on it, but the opponents probably are going to be too. So it's always one of those ones where I look at a counter pick and I'm like, you know, this is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to work out really well for you or really not.
Right, but I think that the amount of experience of big tournaments that Gru has on their side is really playing a key factor into this, especially because you have the Starburst and the FT Win folks making up some pieces of Gru, and no strangers to this map, and especially when you're put under pressure and there's a lot of stuff riding on it. So it's like we've frequently seen Biscuit and Kyos of these major tournaments make it to Inkblot Art Academy on tower control. They're no strangers to it. They've been playing it for a long time, and it's not to say that Duck Motif isn't either. However, I do think that Gru does have a little bit of that LAN major wind in their sails with the amount of pressure that's been onto them before playing this. And look at, so Biscuit is actually going to opt out of the screen. We're going to switch back over to that vanilla Squeezer, but Squeezer nonetheless. And instead of using the pencil here, Gray is going to opt to use the Enzap. So that's a really interesting change, considering that there's a lot of obstacle here for pencil to have to worry about.
Yeah, there is going to be a lot of obstacles here, and I mean, Zap is able to really use the ups and downs of this map with these stacks a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, can play around it a little bit safer. And of course, a suction bomb, are you ever going to say no to a suction bomb on tower control?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely something that is a lot more useful in a game mode such as this. Kira finding safe passage on the tower. They're going to get a nice double pick there. Still going to have to be forced out, though, as Kyo's going to come in and go and opt in for the flank. But with a pinching tactic there, Gru finding themselves with a 3-down scenario against Duck Motif and wasting no time. Look at this, Kyo and Obito pushing forward here. Obito finding an excellent double pick with the Trizuka there. That's just insult to injury here for Duck Motif. They are living in the base area of Duck Motif right now, Toma.
Yeah, I mean, after those jumps just lined themselves up for Kyo to just get on landing, I mean, now it's all Gru's game here, and they're going to be going up to the second checkpoint. They look like they're going to probably be able to break it here without much contest, as the members of Duck Motif aren't quite able to find the space forward to get onto that tower and to be able to contest it. And now it's riding over there towards checkpoint 3. You're starting to see this dangerous kind of snowball territory. You've got Vex in there with the Zuka out, but it isn't going to be able to quite find picks onto Gru. Red Shell zip casting that tower. That's going to find a bit more value finding one, but it's still not going to be enough to stop them. You see those jumps coming in, and the tower is still rushing towards checkpoint 3. Obito there to take a fight, almost has this Trizuka ready, which could possibly spell disaster if it's able to find some value here. Looking, finds one, trying to find a second there, 2 down. They're able to keep this push sustained, I think.
Yeah, quite the needle thread coming out from Obito in that one Zuka shot there. That was in between multiple obstacles that they found landfall with that one. The tower is still in possession of Gru, though. I mean, immense amount of wind in their sails. You can see Duck Motif is trying their best to follow up Toma, but for a while there was a moment where it was Biscuit's world and we were all living in it because 4 members of Duck Motif were looking down and Biscuit was the last man standing trying to hold all 4 members there. So that was definitely a mind game to be had on the side of Duck Motif because definitely kind of scared to jump down because look at that. Nobody knew where Kyo was. Vixen certainly didn't. And Kyo was able to land an awesome shot onto them. And they're still going to try to do that. Plenty of damage to be taken by Kyo there. Still no value to be had. But when you have Biscuit and Gray following up, Gray being the last one left alive, that is finally the nail in the coffin for Gru to back off and for Duck Motif to try to make a response here down to the 10 mark. Very, very comfortable defensive spot for Gru to be in. However, with a minute and plenty of change left to go, I mean, it still could be anybody's game, Toma.
Yeah, it still can be anybody's game, but just as you say that too, Gru is still continuing to maintain this offensive pressure, finding 2 in mid. Obito has that Zuka out, unfortunately not going to find a whole lot of value here, as they're really just trying to still continue to push Gru out of their bats area, and we really haven't seen a reset back to neutral since Gru began their push. Gray going to continue to hold space here in mid, and you can see how much of it is still Gru's color. Red Shell moves in to find some picks, and you do see picks coming out for Duck Motif, but it really isn't enough to establish space in mid for them, which they need to get before they can start pushing this tower again. 2 down onto Gru. This is going to be their opportunity to finally do so, but they really need to watch out for Obito, who's just going to drop in here in mid and try to win up some of these fights, taking a trade, and any time that they can burn off that clock, it's going to be huge for them.
Yeah, it's very much like a battle of bloodshed here. There's a lot of trading going back and forth. Duck Motif, though, still on the front foot as the tower moving in and sailing to the second checkpoint here. They have plenty of members up. That's 2 members of Gru going down at once. We didn't get to see where or how they went down, but that was going to be major there because look at Kyo. Kyo has to keep their distance here. They can't really get close, but they are going to be close to there for the jumps. Oh my gosh, Duck Motif finding themselves corralled in that ramp area. 3 of them going down. Plenty of blue space to be had with Gru here. 25 seconds left on the clock. This is looking to be Gru all the way home, Toma.
That's what it's sure looking like, but you know, don't count your eggs until they hatch. Will Duck Motif be able to pull anything out right now? It's going to be a tough call here for them. 2 down, make that not quite 3, but now they're going to stagger just a tiny bit as this tower approaches their bats. 2 seconds left. Are they able to get it? Red Shell touches it, but immediately goes down. Gru taking the set 2-1.
And shout outs to Jory in there trying to find someone's perspective that we can look at because it just seems like as soon as we even get one point of view, that person's dead in the water in those last couple of seconds. So not really getting to see too many folks at the end there, but still Gru coming out on top. Again, you got to be watching out for these folks on Gru, especially Obito here. Look at this. Obito had a firm hold in the bats area. They had so many good Trizuka spots. That was the needle thread right there because they barely peeked around that box there to make contact with their Zuka shot. So that was just excellent gameplay there coming out from Obito. And you have Biscuit too trying to hold up the left-hand side, but especially with Kyo having the GG strikes there, that was just going to lock Gru into winning, taking the victory on that next round. So again, Duck Motif being forced on the back foot for the counter-picking scenario here, but that also means that Gru still cannot pick splat zones and they cannot pick tower control again.
Yeah, I know that I don't know if they can they? I think that we have they cannot choose the map that they have played in this set. So I
Yes.
don't know. They might be able to go back to a mode. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a TO here. Neither of us are TOs here, but I am interested to see what this counter pick is going to be coming out, because that we saw a very strong zones game both times from Duck Motif. So even if they can go back to zones, I'm not necessarily sure if that's the or oh, well, I guess that is the play. This is Duck Motif. This is Duck Motif counter picking. Yes, this might be the play if they can, because they almost won the first game and they won the second game. It's definitely, I think, a better pick than tower control. You don't want to go right back there. Rainmaker isn't an option, and do you really want to risk Clam Blitz? That's kind of like your unknown right now on your final game opportunity. I feel like we might see a zones if we can return.
Right, because I don't think that tower control would be the move, just considering like the tower control map that you would want to counterpick has already happened. So it's like counterpicking tower control again. There's not really another good map to counterpick unless it's Makomart tower control. Okay, I mean,
I guess we will.
we think that we're in their heads, chat, but we're definitely not. Like Toma and I try to speculate all the time, which don't get me wrong, I love speculating more than the next guy.
I'm always wrong.
I'm always wrong. I'm always consistently wrong, but that's what I love about speculating, because sometimes you can just be like, hey, I don't really need to know the facts of this. I just want to pretend and guess in my head that this is the way that it is. But then, you know, we all... Right, but this is also why that we have the power of the internet in our hands all the time, because we can just find the answers whenever we want to. But this is the answer that, that Duck Motif is going to look for here on Makomart tower control. They're trying to find a response, but I mean, again, you have very strong contestants going forward and trying to battle against. So Kaiza opting out of the pencil gameplay, but it's a 1-for-1 trade as Gray is going to opt back into the pencil. So you have to wonder what the reasoning is, because again, you have two people that frequently play pencil here and play that backline. So what is the reasoning for trying to switch it out and push into NZAP instead? And because you have a lot of paint output on both sides, so it's definitely useful. And look at this very neutral game. Finally, one pick being made to make it 2.
Yeah, Gyo is going to be on this bucket, which is going to be a really strong pick here on Makomart with all these stacks. I mean, you do have Red Shell that has the brush, which is also very strong on the stacks, but when you have a weapon on both teams that was really strong, I'm not sure if you can necessarily classify that as an advantage. The other team has one as well. I am interested, like you said, in the Zap versus Pencil. I think personally, I enjoy Zap more on this map, but I'm also not top level, so I'm interested to see what they're cooking here. And right now, Duck Motif does have control of this tower again. They're looking at breaking that first checkpoint. The Zuka is out. They're looking at trying to pick Biscuit here in the corner. Will Vexen be able to do it? They're going to force a jump out, and now this tower is going to be continuing, but it's going to be stalled for just a second by those strikes. And it's looking pretty good, honestly, at this moment for Duck Motif, who's racking up quite a bit of score here on this board.
Yeah, and with having the cooler there too to follow it up, look at that. Kyo trying to jump in and find some, having FaceTime with Duck Motif. Not going to find any value though. The trade and try Zuka's there. Biscuit, unfortunately, on the receiving end of that one. And Obito not finding or landing a pick either. But still, that's multiple members down on Duck Motif. That is going to force them to be a little bit delayed here with the forward momentum, and they end up losing the tower. And with Gray popping that cooler again, 3 members down, but Gru is everybody up. So stocks are high right now for Gru as we're sailing back into the mid section here. But Duck Motif has been so fast to respond, and you have to be watching out for where Red Shell is. And Kyo is actually is very privy to that as they keep trying to bring the fight to them.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, now you've got Gru here at that first checkpoint, but you can see how under fire it is right now from Duck Motif. They're not letting that break easily as that tower starts to reset back towards mid. Red Shell trying to take some space here, sees Kyo on the side, going to be trying to pressure that, getting Kyo back. You don't want Kyo under those ledges on you. It can be very scary here on this map, and you can see Kyo is forced back some. Now under fire from that, Zuka is going to get a nice jump out just in time to be able to survive that, and Duck Motif is still going to be trying to close that space, but Red Shell taken out by Azuka. Some trades on both sides, but it looks like Gru is kind of getting the victory out of this fight and is going to start taking some space for themselves.
Yeah, and that's going to be huge for Gru here, finally going to try to contest this first checkpoint once again. Kyo not able to defend Gray very much there, though, as they go down, but Obito still able to follow up, taking Vixen out and also taking Kira out of the process. So Kyo has more safe passage to get back on the tower, but Gray, unfortunately, falling victim to the suction bomb here. Duck Motif having great placement of these suction bombs, might I add, because consistently you're seeing just a delayed launch of suction bombs onto the tower continuously, so it causes some delay for Gru to try to get comfortable there. And with Red Shell trying to push up on the side and trying to launch themselves onto the tower, but unfortunately getting taken out mid-flight. That first checkpoint for Gru finally being popped, and with man advantage as well and cooler, this is looking pretty good for Gru right now, Toma.
Yes, it definitely is. Duck Motif needs to get this back under control, make sure that they stop the bleeding. They don't want to lose lead here. They do get 2 down. That's going to be a great opportunity, but they're 2 down themselves. Looking for that fight with Obito, looking at this jump here. These next moments could be crucial for them. Obito gets a pick here. Going to get some space going for Gru, getting that zap out of the way, but they have to find some more kills to secure it, and Red Shell is going to be stopping them down. Going to get that Zip Caster out, and unfortunately not going to find much with it. Just a minute left in this game, and still a lot of pressures on Gru to find a response here.
Yeah, and Gru is still trying their hardest, Toma. I mean, but the amount of paint power that Duck Motif has, it's making it hard, because a lot of times you're just giving more and more terrain for each team to just build special, even though sometimes it's like, do you take a bunch of space or do you allow the special building to be had for the other side? It's a very delicate balance and tightrope to walk. But Gru still looking to try to make the best of it. As you can see, bombs are coming out. The Trizuka positioning has been good. You have Biscuit opting to push forward with the wall here, and Vexen only finding 2 shots out with that Trizuka. It is all Gru from here now, Toma, especially with that cooler coming out. Kyo is feeling pretty confident and strong to take the fight, and it's a successful fight at that. That is going to be Gru moving forward and knocking Duck Motif out of the water. Duck is on the menu, boys, and Gru is eating.
Yeah, Gru now they're moving forward into winners finals, and they are also securing their spot here in the 22XX League. It's the top 3 teams again that will be securing their victory here today. So that is a great step for them here, and they've got to feel awesome coming off of that.
Yeah, that was a really tough hill to climb for Gru. I mean, Duck Motif did not give them an easy time with it. They definitely held on to their lead as long as they could. But when you have folks that just know the game, they know the pressure and the places that they have to be at the right time. And especially with Biscuit, this was a huge play from Biscuit, because that Trizuka was in a dangerous spot to be finding value on Kyo and Gray here. And with Biscuit taking away that threat right away, I mean, you could see that Kyo and Gray wasted no time to push forward. Kyo forcing a trade scenario over on the right-hand side there, similarly to this as it happened earlier in the game. But that was all Gru all the way through, and I mean, Duck Motif definitely gave them a run for their money, but that's going to be Gru securing the spot once again in the league moving forward.
Yeah, huge for them, very big. And then now, looking over into our bracket, Sap, we've got Celeste and Moonlight, who are currently fighting it out over on the other side of winners semis. So the winner there, which right now, currently it's 2-1 in Celeste's favor. They're looking to try to secure that spot in their league, and of course the loser there will be bumped down onto loser's side. Right now, still alive in losers, we have obviously Duck Motif, who we had just seen fall down there. TH Salmon, who we saw earlier today, is waiting on the winner of Captain Happy Crew and HDMI cable. And then one more. Where did it go? My screen refreshed on me. The Forces of Gravity. They're still here. They're still fighting. They're still strong over in losers bracket right now.
Okay, so the Force of Gravity is still to be a force to be reckoned with, and they are going against BTDX. Moving forward into the bracket, and Stacks of Cash also going down 0-2 to BTDX, but Stacks of Cash beating Geomancy, where Geomancy was at the top of the bracket previously and got knocked out because of Gru here. So definitely a really interesting storyline being created here on the 20XX broadcast. TH Salmon also in the losers bracket round 5, but Duck Motif finding them even higher in the losers bracket round 6. So I think after this, Toma, I believe that's going to be us moving into the losers quarterfinals. So we're taking a break from the top bracket for a little bit. We're putting a pin in that one as Celeste and Moonlight are still duking it out and finishing up business there. So we're going to go down the bracket and we're going to be looking at the losers quarterfinals, which I believe it's going to be folks that we've already seen before, whether that is TH Salmon with whoever they get to beat with HDMI Cable and Captain Happy Crew, or the Forces of Gravity versus BTDX. So, I mean, we're feasting either way. We're feasting either way in the losers quarterfinals.
We certainly are feasting either way, and I mean, I'm excited. It looks like, I think quarters. I mean, I'm like doing math. Winners, losers finals. Okay, I think it might be this this round that's locked down here. That it looks like it'll be the loser of Celeste and Moonlight, and the winner of Forces of Gravity and BTDX, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's looking pretty good, and I think it looks like that. I think we're still in the best of 5 scenario, yeah. Yeah. So okay, so after this one, we are moving on to moving on to losers bracket round 5.
Oh, we're moving one sooner. Okay.
Yeah, one
So,
sooner.
looks like we're gonna be seeing TH Salmon once again.
Yeah, so TH Salmon will come back with us onto the stream, but we're still waiting on the results from HDMI Cable and Captain Happy Crew. And HDMI Cable having Pika, Caden, Birch, and Toasty Dinner on their side, but then on Captain Happy Crew, you have Kaora, Mia, Splat, and I Don't Want to Be Here, who is actually Captain Happy themselves, on Facade, the Team Facade Splat. So, fun group of people on the side of Captain Happy Crew, and you also have folks from 37 Beautiful Boys and Sarah, and you also have people from Sea Bunny Plush. You have Mia pulling up from Sea Bunny Plush. That's a really fun name to think about. But you also have Kaora as well, and Kaora and Captain Happy are no strangers to each other, as they both are on the Team Facade. So we are still steamrolling through with a lot of folks that have so many results under their belts to play with, but it's fun because on the side of HDMI Cable you have Pika from the late Cherry Limeade also playing in, but you have people like Caden from Hypernova, and you have Birch as well, who is also with Hypernova, and Toasty Dinner as well, who likes to play a lot of Bucket and Splash, but also a little bit of Blaster sprinkled in. So again, you have a good mismatch Modge Podge of folks coming into the fray here and playing. And looking over on the other side on the Dapple screen, Celeste and Moonlight are in a very decisive game 5 here, with Celeste really being the ones who were looking to victory because they have been up in the 2 games for a little bit here, and Moonlight may be trying to reverse sweep once again. It seems like this is the story of reverse sweep for Moonlight.
Yeah, that's what it's looking to be. And we actually have our match. We're going to be seeing HDMI Cable taking the 2-0 victory over Captain Happy Crew, knocking them out of the tournament. We're going to see now HDMI Cable versus TH Salmon.
Yeah, HDMI Cable getting a very awesome 2-0 win, which is interesting, Toma, because I feel Captain Happy Crew is definitely more of a household name for these types of things, and so seeing them knocked out this early is really surprising to me. But sometimes people just have the better keys to victory that are needed and necessary to move forward, and that is a-okay. So we're excited. We're excited to have HDMI Cable and also welcoming back TH Salmon to the fray. And with TH Salmon, with the things that they were pulling out here, I'm curious to know how HDMI Cable is going to want to come in and correct in the best way that they can. Just considering Captain Happy Crew had a lot of heavy hitters, and it's like, as you move forward into these higher levels, I mean, you're going to see a lot of the same herbs and spices of what comps are going to be played, and so it's really fun when it comes down to the actual pure mechanical skill of who is going to be the victor and the successor in the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it too. And I mean, just like Captain Happy Crew is made up of a bunch of stacked players too. I mean, HDMI Cable knocking them out, right? These are all pretty much all plus level players. I mean, Pika, of course, infamous Pika from Cherry Limeade, our beloved. Caden is in +2. Birch, I believe, is in +3 3? Yes, that's right as well. I think it's just Toasty that's not in the plus server there, but like a two-time winner of Proving Grounds, like obviously very, very capable to have made it this far. And I mean, the fact that we're only in losers round 5, there's still what, 1, 2, 3 more rounds of losers, and you have this caliber of team as the last remaining standing here. It shows just how many crazy stacked players are showing up to this tournament.
I know, and it's fun because it's like all of these folks also like are showing up on different teams and pickups. Like you have some household names in terms of like actual teams, but then it's like you have all of these other household name players that are just making up all of these different pickups. So it's really hard sometimes to keep up with what folks are doing and stuff, because you have people forming and disbanding so often and frequently that it's like at this stage in the game, when you get to this type of level, you really just got to be following the players and what their journeys are going to be. So thinking about TH Salmon, you had Lexi on the pencil, who was an absolute painting menace. You had Henlo on the wiper, who, I mean, the forward pressure momentum that came from Henlo in the previous sets that we got to watch is definitely something you need to be looking out for. And so HDMI Cable, I think, is someone that's got to be very mindful of the flank. But also you have someone like Pika Dave, who's no stranger to the flank, whether it's on offensive or defensive. So I think we're gonna have battle of the flankers coming out for the fact that you have Henlo and Pika trying to duke it out.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, those are two players that I always love to see playing, so I'm really interested to see how they're going to be playing around each other. Starting off on a map like Clamblitz Umami Ruins, it's a very, very, like, I mean, we saw Umami Ruins before. Yes, technically it was on splat zones, but Clamblitz doesn't really change the fact that this is the map where if you get really far forward into that base, you can let that objective go. You can just let somebody cycle clams, and there's not a lot that people can do if they can't get to that basket to defend.
Right. And it's fun to see people try to recorrect and especially play with different people, because you have someone like Pika Dave who has played with Cherry Limeade for many years and many seasons of things. And so getting to see them actually get a different flavor of comp experience and playing with different people and how they try to recorrect that is really, really fun. And it's always encouraging to watch somebody's journey through comp and how they try to change and grow and adapt. So it's a real treat to get to watch Pika Dave here on the stage, but also I've been really thoroughly enjoying watching TH Salmon as well, because you have so many heavy hitters on the side of TH Salmon. So like I said, I'll repeat it again. It's like at this stage in the game, it's more important to follow the individuals versus the actual team, unless like HDMI Cable were to really establish themselves and be like, hi, we're now a team, like watch us play, please. Then you might want to be like, okay, I'm gonna tune in for sure. But otherwise, it's like you just really got to be mindful of what individual people are doing and how their journeys are going.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too here as both these teams are ready up, and I mean, oh, what a journey they've had here today, coming down to this point, and they're really trying to rank it up here now. They need to get all the way to losers finals and take a victory or there to be able to make it to that third place that's so coveted now for everybody in losers bracket. Everybody's there is just trying to make it so that they can get that podium finish and get to the Dapple League. Very excited to see who's going to be podiuming here at 20XX today. We're duking it out now in losers round 5. Here we go. Umami Ruins. We see Pika on that, very standard bucket that we love to see Pika on. The wiper, of course, coming out from Henlo. Those two are going to be duking it out a lot, I'm sure. And of course, pencil v pencil. Nothing out of the ordinary here on Clamblitz Umami.
And very similar setup in terms of gear as well for each pencil player, so similar flavoring there. A very strong statement being made by TH Salmon. You see Ace with the blaster there. Also Ace maybe just taking a moment to perhaps take a clip, but also just wait for their teammates to get comfortable there. Now the first basket pop by no stretch of the imagination going to be had by TH Salmon, and still finding comfort in the basket area too, with Synapse especially launching that killer whale at the right time. You can see Ace and Synapse and Henlo living rent-free in this base, and as the Kraken is popped as well, you can see that Birch is going to have to be forced to move out of the way, but that's going to be Ace taking themselves out of the game as well, with Birch just an insult to injury there and the wipeout. TH Salmon stopping their push at the 47 mark, but that was, I mean, one hell of an opening.
The Kraken off the map was killing me. But now we're going to see HDMI Cable maybe have their opportunity to really get in here. Here comes the Kraken forcing its way in. The strikes are going to provide some space in here as well. Pika trying to find that opening, but going to get shot down. Not going to find a basket break quite yet. TH Salmon, I mean, we saw how scrappy they can be, and they sure haven't lost that throughout today so far.
Yeah, and I appreciate Caden, too, trying to follow up with that Trizuka and look at Birch having the power climb and getting it, but then they see all of their friends just exploding across the map, so they're like, I have to back up here and wait for them to come back in with me. But look at Pika trying to hold it down and try to make some sort of opening, but how are you supposed to do that when you have Ace totally dominating your little canister area, whatever that little top sniping spot is? I feel like we call too many things snipe. We need more fun names, and I'm gonna stick with canister from now on. You cannot change my mind or my opinion on this. Now, moving forward, you can see I'm a Div 5. They had some balls in their possession, but actually, that power climb is gonna once again find itself off the ledge, similarly to the Scorch Clams game where Lexi unfortunately found their demise and dropped the ball off the ledge. But that's okay, because we are gonna be able to replace it, no problem here, by Synapse. And so TH Salmon is just gonna have to really hold this middle section, Toma, but can they do that for 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, it's going to be quite a hold here that they need to keep going. HDMI Cable has quite a score to be able to add to, but I mean, we've seen, you know, bigger scores fall. They just need to find the right opportunity to do so, and these players are no stranger to waiting for the right moment. Pika there, it's going to be picked off in mid by the pencil as TH Salmon just continues to find space. They have been relentless in this sap, moving forward, trying to get some picks. Unfortunately, not quite able to do so there in the moment as trades just go back and forth, and you see that TH Salmon's just kind of stuck up here in mid, but the Kraken might finally open the way, looking under that basket, seeing if they can try to get some pressure here. They're going to end up on that podium there, going to be opening the way to try to get a basket break. I thought that the clam was going to go in. I saw it swim past, but somebody must have knocked it out. It looks like they did. Not going to find a score there, and again, it just continues to be this kind of gruesome stalemate, but a hammer double, that may be the opportunity. Hitlo, I mean, is this the second time Hitlo's found a double hammer on this map?
Yeah, I think that is the second time that this happened. But still, it's like TH Salmon is still just living in their brains, Toma. I mean, what is HDMI Cable to do here? They still keep getting the power clam and economy in their favor, but like, when you have someone like Ace pulling up the side there and just completely negating any access or entry to the canister area there, it's like, how is the pencil really going to find more value? Because there's so many more obstacles not on top of that canister area. And so Birch is having a hard time really finding entry here. And they also have a target on their back with that clam in their hands, which consistently they've had kind of in these last few seconds as well. But still, 14 clams on the board for HDMI Cable. Make it 2 power clams, make it 3 power clams. Toma, look at all of these targets on their backs. And it's like, but TH Salmon is going to take full advantage of that, because it's like, hey, that's basically a point sensor, y'all. You're telling us exactly what you're trying to do and what your moves are.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, that's exactly what they need to know right now, is just the locations of everybody and what exactly they need to do to stop them from progressing forward. And you can see about 17 seconds left in this game. They've got a power clam here on both sides, but it's going to be HDMI Cable that's trying to get the space, and they need to get that space. But unfortunately, one going down, all the action. Oh my gosh, 3 down on HDMI. This is spelling disaster. Synapse looking underneath the basket just to get that jump in.
Okay.
Here we go, Sam.
Oh!
TH Salmon finds that basket break.
That was exciting. Toma, I literally jumped in my chair. I was fully sitting, like, office position, like I'm typing on my computer, and I literally launched my feet up into a ball position, and I am now sitting, I'm like in a ball, like in fetal position on my chair, jumping up from that, because I mean, I had no faith. I'll admit it. I had no faith that I'm a Div 5 was going to be able to make that jump successfully. Thank you for changing it to me, Dorian. Look at this. I'm literally up in my chair. I was like, holy smokes. That jump was such a big risk, but it was a risk that they had to take, especially because they had the lead in their hands. So that was a really, really calculated play to make, and luckily, safe passage to be had, and TH Salmon was going in for the win. I like that we get to return to that little pause from Ace there. Just a very brief moment of mindfulness from Ace.
Yes, it definitely was. And then there was the Kraken diving off that map, and gosh, what a play there. But I mean, look here, that power clam just being able to make it there. Oh, huge ending to the game there for TH Salmon. And I mean, just again, we saw them fight so scrappily earlier, and they were able to keep that energy going, and it's been so incredible.
Yeah, and they're gonna continue that momentum forward, going back to Robo Ramen onto Splat Zones. Now, Toma, I have this idea in my head. It's not a theory, it's a hypothesis, because theory has to be proven again and again and again. A fact is actually true. So my hypothesis is that Robo Ramen is partially some of the inside of what Arowana Mall looks like, and I want to say that Barnacle and Dime is also touching that as well. I want to say that all of these indoor spaces are going to be just like that. So with Robo Ramen coming into the front-facing area here, also Robo Ramen could just be Muscle Forge Fitness remodeled. Like maybe Muscle Forge Fitness closed, they didn't have enough memberships, and so they were like, "Hey, Robo Ramen is actually where we're going to open up. We're going to open a restaurant instead."
Yeah, I mean, I'm hungry. I don't know about you. I have not eaten today, Sav, so a bowl of ramen sounds pretty good about right
Phenomenal.
now.
Well, you know who else hasn't eaten today, Toma? HDMI cable, as they force TH Salmon into a 3-person wipe and are just living in their base right now. Especially, look at how much paint that Birch is just launching into the spawning area there.
Yeah, they are just keeping a lot of paint down here, and it looks like, unfortunately, no, now they're going to be losing control of that. But Synapse coming in, going to find it, trying to find that pick, but going down. Now we've got that Kraken out underneath, and TH Salmon is going to be looking there on the side, but oh my gosh, imagine being stuck there in a corner, and Azuka just stares you down. It's like, hi, you're isolated, and I'm just going to launch my special right at you. HDMI cable holding strong. They have a little bit of penalty to work through, of course, Staff, but that's not stopping them as Cadence just rushing forward to find another pick, and these strikes are going to clear even more space for them.
Yeah, and look, and especially shoutouts to Pika here, just kind of holding up that left-hand side. Not finding too much value, though, especially because TH Salmon already has quickly spawned back in here. But it's just a back-and-forth, like, paint fight at this moment, Toma. It doesn't seem like TH Salmon is feeling very confident in pushing forward and forcing the fight onto the HDMI cable, but HDMI cable is going to say, hey, you know what, if you're not going to do that, then like we're going to take all the space that we can, and especially too like the amount of cooler that Birch has been like tossing out into the fray. But even when the HDMI cable pushes forward to try to take some space, it's like TH Salmon is also being very patient and playing it patiently, because now zone is back into their favor and there's no penalty left to hold them back. And so with Synapse also launching that killer whale, it's like, what space is HDMI cable going to have? Because they're already on the back foot from the beginning coming out of the spawn.
Yeah, they are, but look at this. Now there's that lead change coming out, and HDMI cable needs to find that entry now. The strikes plus the Kraken are going to try to make it happen. Not finding the pick onto Hinlow there means that TH Salmon is going to have a lot more firepower here coming out. Toast finds a great pick there, but it isn't going to be enough to really be able to stop this zone flip from going on, and Salmon is just holding on. They need to just keep this for a little bit longer, and then they'll be seeing themselves advance. The Kraken coming out, but that means a lack of paint on the zone. It's going to be an opportunity for HDMI to be able to get some paint out, but a pick there secures it.
Yeah, that was huge from Ace. I was right there with you, Toma. I saw the Kraken go away, but they got one pick from them leaving the zone, and then they immediately pivoted and went back to the zone to get that last one, kind of on that last little like the little wall there.
Yeah,
but
the little corner.
yeah, the little corner. But the fact that Ace was able to land that pick while that person's feet were still on the zone, it just added that much more paint for TH Salmon to take the zone back into their favor. So that was ideally where that pick should have taken place for TH Salmon. And I mean, as the crow flies, it's now a 2-0 scenario, and TH Salmon is just plugging and chugging away. They're moving on.
Yes, they are. They're going to be moving on. The HDMI cable knocked out of this tournament, and that was a crazy losers run. We see that TH Salmon like has not lost steam since the winners bracket.
Yeah.
They're not letting up. They're here to try to win today. So, you know, best of luck to them as they continue that run. Looking in at bracket at the top, Moonlight fell down to losers in a 3-2 versus Celeste. Celeste moving on. So Celeste and Gru are, first of all, your top 2 seeds. So congratulations
Yes.
to Seeding Team for getting that correct. And they're going to be securing their places going forward into um, the Dapple League, the 20XX League here, taking that spot among the 8 teams that will get to qualify. And now it's Duck Motif, TH Salmon, Moonlight, and then of course the Forces of Gravity and BTTX are the last ones remaining trying to scrap it out for that 3rd spot down here in losers bracket. But Saf, that being said, I think that's going to be it for us here on the IPL stream today. But before we go, send it over to Dapples for the rest of this tournament. Where can the good people find you, Saf?
Oh, well, first of all, just don't find me. But I guess if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Safirea. That's 2 P's, 2 A's on Twitter. You can also find me just roaming around in the Puget Sound and in the ocean, because that's where I be a lot. If you are going to Riptide in September, I will also be running the streets of Sandusky, Ohio, at the Sandusky Pancake House for Riptide as well. So, but Tomo, what about you? Where are you at? If I were to open a browser, or if I was just to like look outside with my binoculars, would I find you somewhere?
Maybe. So, of course, you can find me at Twitter at Crest of Gate or here at Twitch at twitch.tv/ttoma_. But also, Houston with its H-Town Splashdown. We've got that second event coming up soon. You can find me there next weekend as well. But with that, we're going to send y'all over to Dapple Productions for the rest of this tournament. Everybody, you have a wonderful rest of your day.